Good afternoon, cricket lovers of America. Welcome to US Minor League 2025. We are streaming live from hot, toasty Morgan Hill, Northern California, as we head into the second game of a Saturday doubleheader. It is a blazing afternoon, and it's time for East Bay Blazers to take on LA Lashings. Lashings are fresh from a defeat against the Silicon Valley Strikers earlier in the morning. They chased valiantly and lost by about 20 runs. They are about to play their eighth game in pursuit of a third win. Alongside me is Joe Hickey, the experienced commentator, also known as the voice of Bay Area cricket. Hello, Joe. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Huddy. Very kind of you. Looking forward to this matchup here. It's going to be my first look in person at the East Bay Blazers. You've gotten to hog the defending division champions and 2024 finalists all to yourself so far here in Morgan Hill. But they will be coming out in search of a win to keep pace with the Silicon Valley Strikers, who went to 4-1 earlier today. In fact, right now, the only major difference between the top three teams, which are the three Bay Area sides, Silicon Valley, East Bay, and San Ramon, in the standings, is their performance against the LA Lashings. They've both had a win over San Diego. Neither of them have faced Seattle, although San Ramon just started. And the round robin amongst themselves, Blazers beat the Grizzlies. Blazers beat the Strikers. Strikers beat the Grizzlies. Grizzlies beat the Blazers, so nothing settled there either. East Bay will basically be looking to go 2-0 against LA the same way that the Silicon Valley did. San Ramon, on the other hand, split their pair against the Lashings last weekend. A very, very pronounced, very dominant victory in their first matchup, and then the Lashings responded to close a lot closer in the second one. And we saw a bit of that against Silicon Valley, just not enough to fully get home in their second meeting. We'll take a look at the team lists here for the two sides. See who we're going to see here first. Just waiting for it to post. We can tell you here that on the LA side, there are two changes into the lineup. Okay, we'll do Blazers first because it's quick and it's easy. No changes for the East Bay Blazers from their win yesterday over the LA Lashings. Why mess with what worked? As for the Lashings, two changes with respect to this morning's game, and that is the return of Aryan Chowdhury and Rubal Raina to the 11. They take off Ajay Hundal and Abhimanyu Rajap, respectively. If you want to look at the changes compared to the matchup yesterday with East Bay, what do the Blazers see that's different? The big one is going to be the insertion of Ishak Zazai, who opened earlier today, had 13 off 12, as well as the introduction of a second lefty pacer in the form of Akmal Hajizada. He took a pair of wickets this morning as well. Ajay Hundal, again, one of the ones out. He played both today and yesterday. Mayank Raghav, who was out on a golden duck in yesterday's matchup with East Bay, is not in the lineup today. You could imagine him being replaced by the new opener, Mohammad Ishaq. It is going to, of course, though, be the East Bay Blazer openers coming out to bat first. They have won the toss and elected to come out here and take the bat first. They have won 4 of their 5 tosses this year, and they've elected to bat every single time. And given that they're currently 3-0 when they do that, you can understand why. They posted 199 against San Diego and won by 57. They post 159 against Silicon Valley and won by 46. And in that game yesterday, posted 160 and won by 56. So seems a winning strategy. Their only loss has come when they lost the toss and San Ramon put them in to bat. As for the LA Lashings, examining their history on this, they have split the tosses so far, 4 of the 8. Usually they also like to come out to bat first. When chasing this season, 1 win and 3 losses. They successfully chased down 138 against San Ramon. They have failed to chase 150, 161, and 177. They'll be looking to keep this one manageable as they take on this East Bay side for the second time, and it'll be the openers at the center here, Hizbullah Durrani, the youngster, and Sujit Gowda, the veteran and all-time leading scorer in MILC. He finally got himself into second gear yesterday after a bit of a disappointing first weekend by posting 70 runs in the first match between the Blazers and the Strikers. Lashings, rather. taking the ball to start this time around, and we had to take a really good, careful look at it because we got faked out in game number 1 this morning. It does actually this time appear to be Akmal Hajizada with the ball in hand, as it says on the scorecard. He will start off. And it's going to be Sujith Gowda on strike to get us underway here in game 2 of our doubleheader, game 3 of a 4-game weekend here in Morgan Hill. Only other action in the West going on up at Tollgate Farms in Seattle. San Ramon Grizzlies just underway in their matchup, first of 2 this weekend with the Seattle Thunderbolts.
From the far end, he's bowling left arm around the wicket. He's got figures of 4 for 26 from the morning contest against the strikers as he runs into bowl to Sujith Gowda. Tentative push by Gowda towards the offside. Good start by Hajizada. He was one of the rare bowlers who got a fair bit of lift from the far end. Left arm pace and control with a little bit of lift to go with that. He's got 9 wickets in his T20 career so far, averaging a little over 30 in the economy of 8.6. Arguably plays better than the stats indicate.
And he took a pair of wickets this morning, 2 for 36 against the strikers, dismissing Amok Adepalli and the skipper, Raymond Reefer. He, along with most of the side, could not quite solve Tarun Adada. 82 off 59, a match-winning knock for the opener. LA will look to make earlier inroads into the top order today.
This time officially played into the offside by Gowda. A lunging fielding from the man at cover point in the ring keeps the batters to a dot.
That would appear to be Akeem Dodson out there. Do take note, there are going to be 2 players wearing number 8 shirts out there. One of them, Shiva Vashishat, the other, Akeem Dodson, a pair of players that, if you weren't here for our morning game, are into this LA Lashings side in place of the injured Kirsten Kalacharan and Amir Hamza Hotak, who both picked up knocks in week 1. Hotak unavailable this week. Kalacharan done for the season.
Blazers, of course, fresh from a 56-run victory against the Lashings from last evening, would like to continue their unbeaten run against the Lashings. That is slapped through the cover point region, this time a half stop by the tumbling fieldsman in the ring. Gowda is off the mark and the Blazers are up and running.
And you mentioned that unbeaten run. The Blazers 7-0 all-time against the LA Lashings. Closest that the Lashings have gotten back in 2023 when they were hot in contention for a playoff berth. Took a game down to the final ball when Rusty Theron hit a game-winning 4 with the scores level. That part of an exciting weekend when it seemed like it was just a matter of time before the SoCal teams were going to start giving it back to the Northern California sides. It hasn't really come to pass. Lashings have the only victory ever by a SoCal side against the NorCal side in NorCal this past Monday. Looking to see if they can get a second here today.
Cautiously defended into the offside with Durrani. That is his first ball. Both Gowda and Durrani are familiar with this Lashings attack as they spent quite a bit of time in the middle yesterday. Gowda with quite the sparkling 70 of 46 runs, helped by 5 fours and 5 handsome sixes yesterday, and Hezbollah Durrani 40 from 30, 3 fours and 2 sixes. So both of these openers are a familiar, possibly unfriendly sight for the bowling unit at the moment.
Yeah, a big day for Durrani, too, finally breaking through. He had 19 off 30 balls in the matches that he contested in week 1. Happy to really get firmly off the mark. 3 fours, 2 sixes, and a little more success against pace, where he'd been going at a run every 3 balls through weekend number 1.
This time a tad leg side, hits the pad on the way towards fine leg. Short fine leg gives chase. It's going to be a little bit tight. Gayan Fernando reels it in as the batters scamper for a couple of leg byes. Hajizada losing his radar just a little bit, drifting onto the pads. Nonetheless, not any serious damage done. It's only 3 runs of this over so far. It's been a parade of left-arm fast men from the far end over this competition, and the trend continues with this game as well. Earlier in the previous contest, strikers had Netrwalkar and Ray Reefer operating from the far end.
And at one point, Yusuf Zai as well. Used him from both sides. Oh, correct. Sorry, he's a righty. You're right. Thank you. I'm thinking of somebody else.
Ball full, that was pacey. It beats the push towards the offside. The umpire says it is out. In fact, a huge whoop of joy by the bowler. Much deserved success for the paceman.
Hizbullah Durrani Sujit Gowda rather unimpressed by... It is Durrani, sorry.
It can happen to the very best commentators.
They had the same exact body language, and I was seeing one on the monitor from the other angle and one live in front of me. Both of them hands on their hips going, I don't know about that. But given there the outer edge into the gloves of Harpreet Singh, and I will learn not to second-guess myself anymore. East Bay Blazers 3 for 1 through and over. Lashings strike early.
That is quite the significant moment for the Lashings bowling unit. They've been kept at bay by both opening combinations in the previous two games by the Blazers yesterday evening and by the strikers this afternoon. This is an early incision that will lift their bowling and fielding side. They do have games on the bounce, 3 games in a span of 36 hours or so. This will challenge their fitness. They are still looking to get their first win this weekend. This will be an early lift. It appears to be Gayan Fernando who is limbering up from the near end or the...
Atul's
Atul's okay.
And as he gets ready to dig in, he, the new bowler, and the new man at the crease, albeit at the non-strikers end, Sanjay Krishnamurthy, a pair of players looking to forget their last time out in these specific positions. Gayan Fernando went for big runs, 52 in his 4 overs in our morning game. Sanjay Krishnamurthy coming off of a golden duck in the first matchup with the LA Lashings yesterday. Both of them hoping to do a little better than they did their last time out there.
It is Gowda, the man who is about to face Fernando. Right arm over the wicket for the Sri Lankan fast bowler. He's got a 5-4 field for Gowda. All 5 men in the offside end the ring. One man at deep point. In fact, there's one man in the offside and one man at deep square leg.
Yeah, deep point almost splitting the difference between point and third man. Very different sort of position back there.
Punched into the point region, but there's 3 purple jerseys crowding on that one. That is a dot ball. Gowda stepping up on his toes to guide that into the offside. Tidy start by Fernando.
Yeah, this is reminding me a little bit of the field that the Lashings and Surf Riders, for that matter, employed against Aaron Johnson, the right-handed absolute masher for the San Ramon Grizzlies. This sort of thing here. The 5 fielders on the offside, rather close, plus the deep man.
Again, cautiously defended into the offside. This time the man at shot cover does a bit of acrobatic fielding. Useful couple of dots by Fernando to begin proceedings.
It certainly gives you a general idea of what sort of bowling lines might be forthcoming.
Speaking of forthcoming, 4th line on the off-stump region would be quite the visited line by the bowler over this field.
I wish that was a pun I'd thought through. I'd feel real smart.
Again, pushed into the offside. Again, a crowd of purple jerseys making sure that is reeled in for a dot ball. 3 dots on the bounce for Fernando. That is quite the solid start for the Sri Lankan fast man. The advantage of having a second game on the bounce, it allows the bowler and the team an opportunity to claw back in despite a slightly tough outing earlier in the piece. This is an opportunity for a quick comeback.
Well, certainly that doubleheader on Monday against San Ramon, the way they got back in and the spirit they showed in Game 2 was remarkable.
This time Gowda giving him a bit of room and punching it beyond the mid-off fieldsman. That is a forceful shot for 4. Good bit of intent from the batter after 3 dot balls. This time he made a shimmy down the track and gave him a bit of room on the leg side, allowing himself to free his arms just left of mid-off. First boundary on the board for Blazers.
Yeah, Fernando hitting the mark that he's going for, still on that proper line. Gowda just finally making the adjustment to the metronome from the man from Colombo.
Again, a similar attempt by giving himself a bit of room, but this time it's been hit through the covers for a boundary, consecutive boundaries for Gowda. After 3 dot balls, he explodes into a couple of offside shots. Glorious timing on view on both occasions.
Yeah, this time I believe Fernando's line a little wider, a little shorter. And as far as Gowda was concerned, that had hit me written all over it. A little bit of a hoof to retrieve that ball.
11 for 1. Anytime there's a repetition of a bunch of numbers on the scorecard, that gets the commentary box's attention. 1-1 for 1. As we are 1 ball from the end of the second over. This time bowled a little shorter. Gowda trying to go leg side. It scuttles towards the keeper for a dot ball to finish. It's been an 8-run second over from the Lashings bowling unit. Fernando has figures of none for 8 of this first over. Blazers 11 for 1 after 2.
Third over coming here as Akmal Hajizada continues from the Tadika end. Current score, we'll call it Nelson interrupted, 11 for 1. And Javier Hundal is going to come on as the sub fielder as he takes off Elmore for a moment. Harpreet Singh dealing with a little bit of pain in the hand from that last delivery of the second over.
Looking at the scorecard at the moment, a lot of symmetry on view. Blazers 11 for 1, as Joe mentioned, interrupted Nelson. Krishnamurti not so far. Gowda 9 from 9. Hajizada 1 for 1 of his 1. That is a lot of symmetric reading on the scorecard. I wanted to chime in before the symmetry got lost after one delivery as Hajizada runs into Krishnamurti.
Yeah, somebody about to bust it up. Well, not just yet. We got time. We get to savor it for a little longer. Well, the funny thing is, if Hajizada bowls a dot, yeah, it'll be none off none for Krishnamurti, but then it'll be 1 off 1 from 1.1 for Hajizada. Or Krishnamurti gets a run and it becomes 1 off 1.
Long may the aborted run-ups continue as we want the symmetry to last in the scorecard. A bright spot of entertainment under the hot sun.
We are some dorks, Huddy. Big-time dorks. Here comes Hajizada.
That is a no ball. Big shout of no ball from the umpire. A front foot or possibly side foot too. You never know from here.
Well, on top of that, it was dancing along the tram line. I was waiting for the wide call instead, but indeed, a no ball and a free hit for Sanjay Krishnamurti. Yeah, and all the symmetry gone. That's ugly looking now. I don't want to look at it. I'm just going to watch the cricket now. No more numbers.
Gowda still holding the fort for the symmetry lovers, 9 from 9 at the non-strikers in, so we have a little bit of that for at least one more ball. Sanjay Krishnamurti on not. A free hit is quite the invitation for a striker like him to free his arms. What is he going to do now?
Deep men at mid-wicket and backwards square.
A slower ball defeats the attempted shot into the leg side as Krishnamurti tumbles back into his crease. The keeper tries to fire an underarm throw towards the stumps, all happening in the middle for a dot ball of a free hit. Krishnamurti picks up his bat. He was in a little tizzy for a couple of seconds as he found himself a couple of paces down the wicket.
Well, and certainly the underhand long-range stumping from Harpreet Singh wouldn't be the first time. Harry loves to try for those.
Harpreet Singh, amongst a lot of workload in the day earlier, he kept for the most part of the innings. He bowled a few overs in the middle stage of the innings and batted at number 3 and scored a bunch of sprightly runs. It is quite the eventful afternoon for the skipper. Another attempted slice through the offside by Krishnamurthy. No contact on that occasion. Hajizada maintaining a very canny line a little outside the off stump, and the length not quite full enough, allowing the batter to sort of be on tenterhooks.
And Krishnamurthy so far on the season, 32 runs off 28 balls faced, but dismissed 4 times. And his big issue is it's either boundary or nothing at this point. Non-boundary strike rate of 29. He is getting those boundaries, though. 6 of them so far off 28 balls faced. I'll make it 31 now.
This time bashed into the wicket, guided with an open face by Sanjay Krishnamurthy towards the point fieldsman for another dot. 3 dots on the bounce from Hajizada after that no ball early.
Of course, Sanjay, a San Francisco unicorn, along with being an East Bay Blazer. All Bay, all the time. Posted the 3rd highest domestic score ever in the Major League competition, that 92 off 40 against LAKR. So facing down purple and gold and trying to hit for big runs is going to feel real comfortable for him, potentially.
Again, bowled around about 5th or 6th stump. The umpire says, in fact, it's outside that tram line. That is a wide. Second extra off the over after that no ball and the first delivery. Hajizada trying to stick with that outside off angle, but just this time a little too wayward.
If you've watched a whole lot of Sanjay Krishnamurthy, you'd want to stay out of that arc too.
6-3 offside field in place for Hajizada as he switches to left arm around the wicket now. Correction, that's left arm over the wicket. Inside edge, trickles towards fine leg. Short fine leg gives chase. It is going to be a tantalizing chase, but the ball wins at the end. As Gayan Fernando gives valiant chase. Krishnamurthy getting a fortuitous boundary.
And the ball takes a little bit of damage off the legs of our broadcast table here. In case you're wondering what that sound was.
That might have been the highlight of the broadcast table's career. Getting an inside edge of Krishnamurthy flush on at its right leg. Quite the moment in the statistical annals of this broadcast table. Again, good bowling by Hajizada.
Yeah, certainly an inside edge that could have gone absolutely anywhere. Sanjay will be thanking his lucky stars. He's still out there and now underway in the runs column.
Old Fuller, this time he finds the gap through the offside. That is a full-blooded cover drive for 4 by Krishnamurthy. This time a lot more authoritative than the previous inside-edged 4.
Yes, certainly not an accident that time around from Sanjay. That's the sort of cover drive we love to see.
Let's take a look at the replay. It appeared to be a full toss around about 3rd or 4th stump.
Indeed, maybe an attempted Yorker there that just went a little wayward. And Krishnamurthy knows what to do with that. End of... Oh, correction. Still one more ball left in the over. Got ahead of myself.
It's been a long over with a couple of extras.
Hey, if you like your symmetry, take a look at Hajizada's line again. There you go. 1 for 11.
A split Nelson again, this time on the bowling card. Driven firmly down the ground. Mid-off runs back only to collect the ball. That is 3 boundaries on the bounce for Krishnamurthy. Hajizada eventually going for 14 runs of a second over. He's got figures of 1 for 15 after 2 as Blazers blaze to 25 for 1 after 3 overs as the sun continues to blaze at Morgan Hill.
Well, Huddy, we were clamoring for him over the course of the first innings of our first game, but now with a pair of right-handers at the crease, we're going to get our first look at the lefty spinner Zahid Zakhail this afternoon. Zakhail back in the Western Division after 2 years playing for the St. Louis Americans. So far this season coming into the weekend, 5 wickets, added 2 to that total yesterday. 3 of those 5 at the death and 4 of the 5 from last weekend against right-handed batters. And he has been absolutely lethal and stingy when he comes into the death. This is going to be a little different seeing him here in the power play. But a 6.19 economy overall coming into the weekend.
Zakhail with a 5-4 field. 5 fielders the offside. A crowd of purple jerseys in the ring on the offside. Gowda pushes this one back towards the bowler. Cautious start.
Maybe the biggest surprise so far of this season for the Lashings has been that Zakhail has made most of his impact for this team with the ball in hand, while Achilles Brown has made most of it with the bat. I think you would have probably put money on those two things being opposite at the beginning of 2025, but Zakhail is the leading wicket taker for this team, and Achilles Brown the leading run scorer.
That was tickled towards square leg for a dot. Anticipate some fireworks from Gowda. He goes back and tries to force this one down the ground. Mid-off can only watch it sail towards long off for another boundary. Anytime Gowda is pinned with a couple of dot balls, he forces an attacking stroke. No different this time as he moves to 13 from 12. Boundaries from the blades of both batters in the last few minutes.
One for Gowda yesterday and today. Good to see him finally getting the ball to the rope. A real struggle last weekend, a 60 strike rate, just 3 boundaries off the 52 balls that he faced. 34 dots and a non-boundary strike rate down in the mid-30s. He was having a hard time getting off strike, having a hard time doing much with the balls where he did get off strike. This is looking a lot more like the Sujith we know here in the Bay Area. That one is struck and will be a little bit of a run for Mohammad Ishaq at long on. It is flagged down. It'll just be a single. Krishnamurthy comes back on strike. Started off with 3 dot balls. One of those on a free hit, and then proceeded to hit 3 consecutive 4s to finish off the last over. He'll get his first look at Zakhail.
That is pulled towards the man at deep mid-wicket for a single.
Actually, should say not his first look at Zakhail this weekend, because Zakhail's the one who bowled him first ball on Friday afternoon. So this time around, navigates that first meeting with him. Final ball of the Zahid over. Sujith Gowda inside out that, and it will clear the man in the circle. Achilles Brown on the run to try to keep it from reaching the rope. He will do so. But that may save just a single run, as it takes a little bit to apply the brakes on the gravel that's just past all that near the dugouts, and it is 3.
That is the end of a 9-run Zahid Zakhail over. Blazers 34 for 1 after 4 overs. 2 more overs to go in the power play.
Blazers starting out at 8.5 runs and over. They put up exactly 8 and over yesterday, en route to 160 for 7. Turned out to be a relatively easily defendable total. Earlier today, Lashings put up a little over 150, albeit in pursuit of 177. So we'll see here what the Blazers can manage in terms of trying to set a target that they can bowl at. It's going to be Elmore into the attack, replacing Akmal Hajizada at the Tariqa end.
Left arm over the wicket to Sujit Gowda. Gowda pokes this one into the offside for a dot. More left arm pace from the far end as Hutchinson replaces Hajizada.
Deep protection at backward point. And apparently a little square, perhaps square leg. It's always a little tough to tell with the pitch at a slight angle to us. Definitely backward point, though.
Gowda goes across the line and works this one into the mid-wicket region. Mid-on tumbles and makes a half stop. Actually, a full stop. Did it?
Oh, indeed, he's got it. Nice bit of fielding there to limit that to just a dot.
This time he goes down the ground. Good-looking lofted drive over the head of the bowler. The umpire's arms are aloft to signal the first 6 off the bat of Gowda. First 6 for Blazers as well. Blazers jump to 40 for 1 in the middle of the 5th over. Gowda continuing to deal in boundaries. He's got 3 fours already to go with this big 6. That was a handsomely struck straight drive.
Yeah, that one's so straight, we're lucky it didn't take out our camera, giving you the lovely views down the pitch. A reminder, we got Bala at the controls on the camera work.
This time Gowda goes across again. Mid-on and mid-wicket scramble and converge. Shy the non-striker's end, but the batter is in safe. It's been a pattern of play against Gowda so far. Anytime a bowler builds a couple of dot balls against Gowda, you have to watch out for an interjection by Gowda. A couple of dot balls by Gayan Fernando in his first over, and then Gowda met him with a shimmy for a couple of fours down the ground. This time Hutchinson building a couple of dots, and then Gowda going even better with a 6.
Yeah, it does seem like he's come out with a different level of intent when he gets stuck on the crease by a few deliveries than he had last week.
This time a slower cutter on the pads. Krishnamurthy helps that one to fine leg for his 4th boundary already. He moves to 17 from 9 balls. A little wavered from the bowler on that occasion, drifting to the pads. There was a slower cutter by the tall Jamaican fast bowler.
Well, and for all of his struggles to get an innings to last so far this season, Krishnamurthy has not been hurting for getting started quickly. His strike rate inside the first 5 balls of an innings is 185 right now. See if he can make it count this afternoon.
Punched into the offside for a dot to close 11-run over from Ellie Hutchinson. Blazers find themselves 45 for 1 after 5 overs. Run rate surging with every over.
Zahid Zakhail will continue from the near end of the ground, Atul's end. 1 for 9 in his first over, upward, nearly 2 boundaries, although Achilles Brown was able to chase down one and save a run on the final ball of that over. Sujith Gowda responsible for most of that damage. This one is going to be shot straight to the field guardian Chowdhury inside the circle on the offside. Again, employing that field with 5 inside the circle on the offside. Going back forward.
The umpire. We've seen a couple of extras already in the innings so far. Working that one towards the long on fieldsman all along the ground by Gowda.
Zakale flattening that one out. Trying to give Gowda something he can't get under.
Push towards the cover region for a dot by Sanjay Krishnamurthy this time. Floated up, Krishnamurthy obliges with a good-looking lofted drive down the ground. Long off, mid-off can only watch it sail over his head.
Down, if not potentially take a chance. It would have been a sharp one, and that brings up the 50 Bay Blazers. Lefty spin, something that Krishnamurthy's had his struggles against in past seasons. He usually scores well against it, but in 2023 he lost his wicket 8 times to it. Season is a kale.
This time punched into the man at the edge of the wing at cover. Krishnamurthy gets a single. A little bit of adjustment in the field by Zakil. Mid-off has been sent back to long off.
And they finish off the power play with that authoritative 4 hit right back where the fielder had just been brought in. It'll be Achilles Brown to bowl the first over outside the power play, coming at you from the Taraka end of the ground. Achilles did not get the ball during our first game today.
This is going to be an interesting test of the fitness of the Lashings bowling and fielding unit. Third game on the bounce across last evening and this morning and this afternoon. Achilles Brown has seen a lot of action for Lashings through this tournament so far with both bat and ball.
Indeed, usually used in the middle overs, 8 of the 12 that he's bowled so far, and he's got an economy of just barely over a run a ball, at least coming into the weekend, in those middle overs. He did take a little bit of tap elsewhere, though. It's gone at 2 runs a ball in the power play and 3 runs a ball at the death. So this is where you want to use him up against the likes of Krishnamurti and Gowda.
Except Krishnamurti goes looking for a big boundary through the mid-wicket region. Right when you bring up a stat, the cricketer is conspiring to throw the stat back at the commentator.
To be fair, it feels like they almost as frequently make me look like Nostradamus, which really leads me to believe that none of this is worth anything.
It's quite the pleasant day for cricket here at Morgan Hill. Despite the sun being out and bright, there is a pleasant breeze giving us company. The breeze is not quite as strong as the previous weekend, where it was literally buffeting the ground all through the day for 3 or 4 days of that long weekend. Achilles comes back in, but the batter is not quite ready.
You see, the problem, Huddy, is that there are cars moving back behind the sight screen, but that is always the case here at the Strikers Cricket Ground.
It would be a shock to the system if the cars were actually a reason for the batter to pull out of that one. This time bowled wide of the off stump, and the umpire sends his arms wide to indicate wide. A little wayward from the bowling unit so far in terms of extras. Krishnamurti is 26 of 14. Gowda's got 29 of 21.
And you're right about the extras. So far, 3 wides and the no ball from Hajizada.
This time hit aerially towards mid-wicket, but the ball sails over the converging purple fieldsmen. That is a big 6 to add to Krishnamurti's collection of boundaries.
Take a good look here at the rip from Sanjay. The signal, apparently, at least on the screen, is a 4 rather than a 6. That was awfully close. It hit so hard that neither of the fielders had a chance. That has gone down. Actually, both of them have gone down as 4s on the scorecard, which is a little baffling. I thought the first one for sure made it over the rope on the fly, but apparently not.
Maybe we should stick to calling them as boundaries to get away with 4v6. This time, a square drive. Sweeper can only run to his left to collect the ball beyond the fence. That is deft footwork by Krishnamurti, collapsing his leg to allow him to open up the offside. Brown facing a little bit of heat from the number 3 skipper from Blazers.
Well, that's now the second time that Sanjay has hit back-to-back-to-back boundaries. Did that off of Hajizada and chased him from the attack. Admittedly, a wide in the middle there, but at least on 3 consecutive legal deliveries, Sanjay reaching the rope. And just like that, he has more than doubled his run tally for the season just in these last 16 balls. 32 off 28 coming in, now 36 off 16 and counting. Achilles looking for the comeback. Krishnamurti again wide of the fielder in the deep, again finding that gap between long off and sweeper cover. Or rather, sweeper cover and point, I should say. He's just got it coming off that blade so hard. There's really no chance to chase it. If he doesn't hit it straight at you, good luck getting there before it's over the rope. By the way, in the meanwhile, they have amended the middle of those 4s to a 6. So at least one of them we were right about, making it all the way over on the fly. Four straight balls from Krishnamurti that have made it to or over the rope. What does Achilles have as a comeback here? That is lifted and will fall in front of long on this time. single, and the Sanjay assault pauses, at least for the moment.
This has been a deluge of runs of Achilles Brown's opening over. 20 with a ball to go. We wouldn't be too surprised if Gowda looks to take him on right now and make this a blockbuster over. Full, Gowda goes for a big swing through mid-wicket. It finds wide long on for a single. That is a 10, 14, 18, 21 run over from Achilles Brown as Blazers surge to 77 for 1 in 7 overs. Lots of sevens on the scorecard at the moment, which gives the commentators a little bit of numerical symmetry joy.
That's the joy felt by the East Bay Blazers at the moment. The result of Sanjay Krishnamurthy going at some pace right now, 41 off 18. And this is a guy here who at a 154 strike rate against the major league cricketers. Fourth best among all the domestic batters in that competition. And so when he comes to minor league, you really have an opportunity to see something special. Number one, you see him work as an absolute all-rounder. Captain, along with being an expert left-arm spin bowler. But on top of that, some days he just comes out here and blows your mind as a batter. And he's been doing that since as early as 2021, which is a remarkable thing to say about a 22-year-old.
Rubel Raina introduced into the attack, replacing Zakil's two left-arm finger spin overs from the near end or the Atul's end. The field has been spread far and wide as much as is legally possible as Gowda pushes this towards the deep cover fieldsman and the batters scramble for a single.
Certainly by this point, the LA Lashings in a little bit of damage control mode. How do we stem the flow of runs? How do we cut off all these boundaries as Krishnamurthy continues to surge?
This time pushed into the deep cover region again by Krishnamurthy. Lashings wouldn't mind these singles after the boundary-laden onslaught in the previous over against Brown. 3 fieldsmen in the deep on the offside in the arc between deep cover and long off. That region has been pilfered again. That is a hat-trick of singles towards the deep cover fielder.
Had a couple of gusts of wind lift some papers into the air, luckily not headed toward the field, as this ball is now dragged towards Zahid Zakhail at long off. 4 singles off the first 4 from Rubel Raina. Rubel coming into action this weekend with 2 wickets in 7 overs at an 8.00 economy. East Bay going in 11s right now. Rubel would not be, the LA Lashings would not be too unhappy with Rubel keeping it to just 8. So far, just 5 from 5. And that one run to the offside for another single. We'll see if they try to take the second. Might be on offer, but no interest. So 6 singles in the first over here from Rubel Raina in today's action as he's back into the team for the first time since yesterday's matchup where he went 1 for 36.
The East Bay Blazers won the toss and chose to bat first and have made good on that choice. 83 for 1 after 8 overs. The run rate bulging 10.38 at the moment.
Conversation currently taking place between Achilles Brown and Harpreet Singh. We wondered if Harpreet was maybe getting ready to unload the keeper's gear again here near the halfway point as he did in our first match. There are 2 other potential keepers out there. One of them just ran by Harry, that being Mohammad Ishaq. Earlier today, Akeem Dodson assumed the role so that Singh could bowl. In our morning game, the Lashings deployed only 5 bowlers, the minimum complement. So far, they've already gotten 6 involved in the first 8 overs, searching for an answer, searching for somebody that can keep the economy under control. Hajizada did take 1 for 15. Fernando went for 8 in his first over. Raina, the first one to get to a run a ball. Zakale gave up 20 off his 2. Hutchinson 11 off his 1. Achilles Brown pummeled by Sanjay Krishnamurthy in his 1 over to the tune of 21. It'll be Sanjay on strike to face Gayan Fernando in his 2nd over. Change of ends for the Sri Lankan.
White, says the umpire. The Lashings bowling outfit have sprinkled a few extras across these 8 overs so far.
Yeah, that's the 5th so far to go along with a pair of leg byes. That time a little bit of a surprise for Krishnamurthy. That one's outside the line as well. 2nd wide to start.
Perhaps a challenge of back-to-back games, telling a little bit on the energy levels of the players. The radar going a little waver at times. A similar delivery outside the off-stump tram line. That is 3 wides on the bounce by the Sri Lankan paceman.
It is interesting you bring up, though, the 3 games in a roughly 28, 30-hour span, because it is precisely what the Lashings had to do last weekend in much, much hotter, more draining conditions up in Davis. And oddly enough, in that one, it was the 3rd game of the 3 where they seemed the most spirited and the most up for it.
That is a better result for the bowler. A dot ball. Krishnamurthy trying to swing that one towards the leg side and finding no contact. This time up and over the covers. Long off runs to his left and reels it in for a couple of runs for Sanjay.
It sounds like we have a few Academy kids in attendance right now from the Blazers Cricket Academy, because very high-pitched set of voices screaming out "shot" as that one went off boundaryward. Of course, held by the ground for just the pair. And that one in the air and taken at mid-off. And Sanjay Krishnamurthy, moments after drawing out those delighted shrieks, is going to have to go 4 runs shy of what would have been a 9th MILC half-century, and East Bay 88 for 2 now. As we close in on the halfway point of this first innings, and Gayan Fernando, for all his struggles, on that one, a little off pace, gets the toe end of the bat, and Krishnamurthy just does not get much on it. Easily ladled to the man in the catching position.
Very handy wicket against run of play for Lashings. Blazers 88 for 2 in the middle of the 9th over as Saideep Ganesh strides out in at number 4.
And if ever there were a out of the frying pan into the fire sort of situation right now, it's now having to deal with Saideep Ganesh, presently the 3rd leading scorer in MILC with the best score of the season, back on debut for 2025. That said, LA managed to navigate him just fine last time around. In fact, it might be reason to see a little more of Zahid Zakale back into the attack. He was responsible for taking out Sanjay and Saideep for a combined 10 runs yesterday. It was instead, of course, the damage from Sujith Gowda, who is still out there on 33 from 25. It carried the Blazers to that high total and comfortable victory yesterday afternoon. first delivery to Saideep is on the carpet, and a nice dive by Mohammad Ishaq. He may have done some damage to himself, though, in the process. He does keep it on the infield for just a single. Perhaps trying to make that stop with the hand and had a little bit of a funky bounce, put it right onto his chest. There's no way that's comfortable.
Two more balls to go in Fernando's second over.
And second wicket partnership, by the way, for 85 runs. Biggest one we've seen in a day of half-century partnerships, left and right.
Wide has been signaled for a moment. The bowlers and the fielding unit fancied a nick, but the keeper couldn't quite collect that cleanly.
Apparently would not have mattered either way.
Gowda has been off strike for the last couple of overs, with Krishnamurthy taking quite a bit of strike and finding boundaries regularly before he fell. Again, Lashings used that little Gowda break for an error. This time finds the fielder in the ring at the cover position.
You do sort of wonder if having somebody get starved with a strike might have the same effect as a drinks break, for example, which so frequently brings a wicket.
This time driven along the ground to the short cover fieldsman. That is a couple of dot balls to finish a rather longish and eventful over for Fernando. He's got figures of 1 for 15 after 2 overs and the big wicket of Krishnamurthy.
Yeah, with the break for the wicket there, that probably felt like bowling 2 overs on the trot for all intents and purposes. 4 wides from it and a total of 7 runs. With that big wicket, 90 for 2 through 9.
Rubail Raina about to bowl his second over from the near end. Left arm finger spin. Left arm around the wicket to the right-handed Saideep Ganesh. A forcing shot results in what appears to be an under edge that trickles away behind the keeper for 4 fortuitous runs for the batter.
It's a sort of shot where if you're the bowling unit, you just say, this just might not be our day, if that's going to end up going for 4, along with everything else we've seen.
Saideep Ganesh has a couple of sizable scores to his account in this competition so far. A thunderous 111 unbeaten runs of 50-odd balls in his first outing the previous weekend, and a 60 of 30-odd balls as well. A tumbling save at the long-on region by...
And the second time Achilles Brown has saved a boundary. Although on both occasions it's wound up being a total of 3 runs from it. So 2 nice plays with just 2 runs saved.
So it was quite the committed slide from Achilles Brown at long on, saving 2 runs for his side. Raina had the quiet first over, going for 6 singles in his previous outing. Now he begins with a 4 and a 2, although the 4 was an under edge. Gowda going for another big swing to the leg side. Again, a tickle. This time only a single though. Point runs to his left to keep that in. 7 runs of the first 3 ball as that is signaled as bias by the umpire.
Decent comeback there from Raina after a boundary and a near boundary. By and a dot as he looks to try and keep this under control here for his purple and gold side. That one gets a little bit of turn, pitching perhaps in line with the legs of Saideep Ganesh. Bit of out turn and nothing to do but bat that one into the surface. That one worked to the offside. That'll be a single. I have no interest in anything else from the final ball of this 10th over. And as we reach the halfway point, Sujith Gowda at the moment on 33 from 28. Sanjay Krishnamurthy in the shed with 46 of East Bay's 99 for the loss of 2. Time for a drink. It's going to be Elmore Hutchinson to get us started in the second half of this first innings. First delivery to Saideep Ganesh worked over toward mid-wicket where there is deep protection. That brings up the 100 for the East Bay Blazers. 1 ball past the halfway point.
Ellie Hutchinson has had a couple of economical spells from the far end earlier in the day. Went for a couple of boundaries in his first over. Can he keep Gowda and...
He might have. That is going to be heels on the line, but now having to watch it fly away is the man at long on, and that will be another massive 6. Sujith Gowda approaching the 40s at this point, 39 off 29 balls. Second maximum on the day for MILC's all-time leading scorer, to go along with 4 fours. I don't know what he decided to do differently between week 1 and week 2, but it's working, whatever it is. The wind certainly intensifying, and you're absolutely right, Huddy. It makes it a great deal more pleasant here. Temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Far cry from 103 in Davis, but still toasty. Elmore left arm over the wicket. Sadeep Ganesh opens the face of the bat, runs that straight to Ishak. The dot delivery here, and we saw in the first game good work just avoiding getting stuck on the crease by all of these teams. So far, only Guyan Fernando and Akmal Hajizada have managed to create a decent amount of dot ball pressure. Each of them have bowled 8 dots in their 12 balls. This one just wide of his shock. Long run and a slide put in at the boundary rope to hold that ball inside the field of play. Shiva Vashut will huck it back in. Just a pair of runs off that, as Gowda moves into the 40s on the earlier single. It'll still be Ganesh on strike here, though. Opens the face and trying to run another ball down towards that offside, but just dances past the outer edge and into the gloves of Harry Singh. So a 10-run over after the drinks break. East Bay reached the 100 mark, now 109 for 2. Ribble Rhino will continue with his 3rd over from Atul's end. He picked up the baton from Zahid Zakil at that end. Guyan Fernando bowled 1 over and has since left that side to be patrolled by lefty spinners. 6 off Rhino's first, 8 runs and a bye off his second. This one run wide of Ishak. That'll be straight at Akeem Dodson, deep man on the offside, and a cluster of deep men on the offside here, as there are 3 boundary riders between long off and sweeper cover. This one will pick out the one widest of the 3. That a bit of an interesting field placement. Pair of singles to start the over. Nelson for 2. We'll see if Rubal Rana can benefit from the good juju of 111. Dragged and off the stumps and caroming to Ishak here at long off. Rana did put a foot out. Had it made contact, might have had an argument for a dismissal there. As Ganesh was backing up, but instead, he will take over the strike. 3 singles off the first 3 from Rhina in this over. Another ball that will find a deep man on the offside. Also on the offside is a point and a 3rd man inside the circle. Onside, just 2 boundary riders, fine leg, and mid-wicket. Yet another single. Raina's third over, looking a lot like his first one. And now splitting the pair of fielders behind point inside the circle. No protection in the deep back there. And that'll go for a 4 to finish off the over. Tidy for the most part, but eventually 9 from it. 12 overs gone. East Bay 114 for 2 as we enjoy the handiwork of Saidib Ganesh. Width on offer, width punished. $118 for 2.
Ellie Hutchinson about to continue his spell from the far end. None for 21 of his 2 overs so far, as he's about to bowl left arm over the wicket to Gowda. 43 from 33. Gowda is poised to smash a half century at the moment. Softly defended into the covers for a quick single by Gowda.
If Gowda manages it, he will be extending his all-time MILC lead in half-century scores. He's got 15 of them, one ahead of Andres Jos. 4 of those last season, 1 more just yesterday.
Sliced off an open face by Ganesh. This has pierced the gap between point and shot third man. I think Brown was the fieldsman who reeled it back into the ring as the batters complete a couple of runs. Good bit of placement by the batters and good chase by the fieldsmen.
Wind here in Morgan Hill, I'd somehow forgotten about calling all of my games up in Davis. This is a pretty standard feature of Morgan Hill cricket. Notes flying all about as Hutchinson flies in.
Ganesh goes down low and picks that one up towards fine leg, but short fine leg is equal to the task. He stops the ball, but unfortunately the throw at the non-striker's end is not collected cleanly, which results in the batters stealing a run. Oh, the wind is taken over here.
We are having a time here. We're just lucky at this point the wind is blowing in such a way that it's not sweeping any of our stuff onto the field and inducing a stoppage. This means every couple of moments one of us goes solo on commentary while the other is on chase duty. That one tapped straight back to Elmore Hutchinson. That prior ball there, the unforced error from Rubal Raina. Not what you want to see at this point. The concentration and the spirit that we saw against the San Ramon Grizzlies after taking a heavy defeat on Monday just has not been there today for the Lashings. The men in purple and gold a little deflated by that loss. This one worked to the onside and claimed. Catch taken there and a little bit of a dance from, I believe that's Akeem Dodson out there. Apologies, lost the ball here in the variety of features that crowd the visual field here. I understand why the batter pulled out earlier that one time, but instead it's Gowda, the second would-be half-centurion, to go down potentially a shot shy of completing that 50. Elmore Hutchinson strikes. He's had a wicket each of the last 3 games. And he removes the danger man Gowda. Partnership comes to an end on 34 runs for that third wicket, and Gowda departs 44 off 36 balls.
In walks Anji Pereira at number 5.
Confirmation, by the way, of the catch being completed by Akeem Dodson. Lots of new faces in the lineup for yours truly, at least, having not been able to be here yesterday.
Softly pushed into the cover point region for a quick single. Pereira is off the mark, off the bat right away.
And that will do it for the 13th over. Reasonably tight one for Hutchinson, 5 runs from it, and the wicket of Sujith Gowda. Middle order for East Bay, a chance now to shine with 7 overs left to build the total, 123 for 3. Rubo Raina stays on and will bowl the 4th consecutive over from Atul's end. Raina, the 6th different bowler put out there. He's conceded 23 in his 3 overs of work, make it now 24 off of his 3.1. A cut will guide that again to one of the 3 deep men on the offside out in front. An all-righty lineup, and we've seen this field quite a bit in the last 2 or 3 overs. That one batted by Angie Pereira. Straight to Elmore. Raina has largely dealt in singles, has hardly bowled any dot deliveries, as that one is roped back behind square, long run, and not going to be successful for a Shiva Vash shot over at that side. Just as I was about to say, he's only conceded the 3 4s at this point, but singles on nearly every ball, just 2 dots and a bye, as well as a 3 that was saved at the boundary rope in his 2nd over. All the same, right now, Hajizada Fernando going at 7.5 and over. It's finding those other overs that's been a bit of a challenge so far. Anybody else that's gone in has taken some tap.
Ganesh goes offside this time, a single to the deep cover fieldsman. That has been the most busiest fielder when the left arm spinner has been in operation.
This will be the final ball of Rubo Raina's spell. That one run wide of fielder at point. Deep man will come in, and another single for Raina off of his off of his 4 overs, 32 runs compiled by the East Bay Blazers. He leaves going at exactly 8. Blazers 132 for 3. Elmore Hutchinson will continue, as he will bowl his final over as well. This coming from the Tarika end. The East Bay Blazers, the scary thing about this team is just how deep this lineup goes now. Pereira ropes that toward the gap, and it's just too quick for mid-wickets to get over there. Finding the gap between long on and mid-wicket, and it wasn't even a particularly big gap. That ball just sculded.
That is Pereira's first boundary of his innings, jumping down the track and flicking it off his pads and placing it to perfection between the wide long on and the mid-wicket fieldsman.
Pereira, a 141 strike rate coming into the weekend, and generally prefers pace at this point. 159 the strike rate rises to against Pacers. 27.3% of the balls he sees headed to the rope.
Pereira again jumps down the track and this time lofts him down the ground. Long on jumps in vain and umpire says 6. This is an onslaught from the number 5 batter. 4 and 6 to begin Hutchinson's last over.
And Pereira, the former captain of this side before other tournaments pulled him away, and that honor was bestowed upon Sanjay Krishnamurthy. But Angie, always a dangerous finisher and always somebody willing to scamper down the track like that, a very active batter. The 34-year-old from Moratua, Sri Lanka. He will make his own luck. He will make that ball pitch wherever he decides he wants it to relative to him. What does Elmore have as a comeback after 2 consecutive boundaries?
That seemed like change of pace. Elmore's switching to around the wicket. This time guided into the offside for a couple of runs. Even numbers in this over so far, 4-6-2, as Angie Pereira motors along to 16 from 7. Hutchinson's been a pretty economical operator during this last couple of games, but he's got his figures messed up a little bit by the Blazers batting unit so far.
Again moving down the pitch, and this time the pop-up is going to fall in front of long on. Threw that shot a bit early, and Pereira asking some questions of himself as he heads down to the other end. I'm starting to comment, though, on how deep the lineup goes for this squad. They still have available Vikash Mohan, Faisal Khan, who's no mug with the bat, and, of course, Abhishek Paradkar, as that one is swung on and missed by Ganesh. But Abhishek Paradkar, who has turned himself into a legitimate all-rounder, also waiting down the card. I know when I looked at this roster earlier, I knew the bowling attack looked terrifying. It looked to me initially like there just wasn't quite enough finishing batting. And right at the end of the off-season, they pick up Vikash Mohan, reacquire him. That allayed some of my concerns. And then Abhishek Paradkar just turned into what they were missing from the likes of a Hamza Tariq or an Usman Ghani last season. It's a scary group.
This time on the pads, Ganesh tucks it in towards deep mid-wicket for a single. That is the end of Hutchinson's 4-over quota. 1 for 40 of his 4 overs, a little costlier than usual. Blazers find themselves 146 for 3 after 15 overs, ready for a turbocharged finish. Number 26, Zahid Zakil, about to bowl the 16th over. He's got a couple of overs in the bank. Left arm finger spin from the near end. Bowling around the wicket to the right-handed Pereira. That one pushed back to the bowler. Tidy start to the 16th over. A 5-4 field in place at the moment for the right-hand batter. Pereira gives himself a little bit of width and works that one to the deep cover fieldsman for a dot. Two men in the ring on the offside are square the wicket, a point at the edge of the ring and a cover point. Driven along the carpet towards the mid-off fieldsman. A single again. Tidy beginnings from Zakil. 149 for 3 are the Blazers. And this time steered towards the man at point on the ring. That is a useful dot ball by the bowler.
And the question here, realistically, is how low can you keep this total if you're the Lashings? Blazers, as we said, have a lot of batting in the tank. Zakale trying to restrict that run rate, and so far, 2 off 5. Very valuable at this juncture here to see if they can turn the tide. A wicket with this last ball would be enormous.
A nifty bit of fielding by the bowler off his own bowling, using his boot to stop that gentle drive from the batter. This time sliced to the right of the cover point fielder in the ring. The deep cover runs forward and keeps that to a single. That is a very, very tidy over by Zakil. Just 3 singles off that 16th over. Blazers exactly 150 for 3 after 16 overs.
Back to Akmal Hajizada from the Tarika end. He bowled the first 2 overs from that side of the ground. Hasn't been in the attack since. Decent overs right up until the last 3 balls. He did provide a couple of extras for the Blazers in his second over, but through 9 balls had given up just 1 run off the bat and taken a wicket. His first delivery is a full toss that hits the stumps. Back into the attack, right into the wickets. And absolutely bamboozling. Angelo Pereira looked to be trying to throw some manner of reverse scoop and got himself tied into a pretzel.
Anji Pereira trying to move inside the line of the ball and scooping it towards fine leg, but
certainly the field placement inviting that, but may have even gotten a small touch on the ball to knock it in, but a off-pace full toss, either clean bowled or chopped on. And that will be all for Pereira. In comes the aforementioned Abhishek Paradkar at 6. And Abhi has been practically announcing a new era of his career, a 23-year-old San Diego native. 75 runs already this season at a 144 strike rate and a 25 average at 47 in the opener. Absolutely massive. It was he and the man he joins right now at the crease, Sadeep Ganesh, who put on a 103-run partnership. That after the Blazers were at 50 for 4. Looked like San Diego were really in that one, and then Ganesh and Paradkar just took it away.
that was quite the thunderous partnership between these two batters a week ago. As Paradkar warms up for his first delivery, he prefers the arc between mid-wicket and long off. He is no stranger to hitting big sixes in that region. Hajizada had a couple of wickets and a couple of catches in the previous game in the morning, and now he's got a couple of wickets for his work and an opportunity to hunt for some more scalps. Left arm fast bowler to left-handed batter.
Round the wicket, looking to create the angle. Paradkar, I think, believes that was a wide. I'm sure he'll be in the ear of that umpire if something like that gets called against him in about 5 overs time. But a dot ball to start against Abhishek.
This time banged into the wicket, defeats the attempted pull shot by the batter. The ball scuttling underneath the pull shot. Hajizada mixing up his lengths, trying to keep the batter guessing.
Worth noting, especially if they end up with him on strike to start the next over, they do have 2 overs left of Guy and Fernando. Right arm pace is the only thing slowing down Abhishek Bharadkar so far this season, striking at 170 against everything else besides righty pace, where he goes a run a ball.
This time shorter and a runabout off stump. Bharadkar works that one towards deep cover for a single to get off the mark. Tidy stuff by Hajizada so far. A wicket, a couple of dots, and a single. Can he do Lashings a huge favor by getting rid of Dangerman Ganesh, who's already at 30 from just 21 balls?
Feels like with all the other big scores we've seen, that one has felt oddly quiet for going at nearly a 150 strike rate and putting up 30 runs. We'll see if Ganesh turns up the volume here.
That was placed with precision by Ganesh, given a little bit of width outside off by Hajizada, slicing that in the fine gap between shot third man and point.
Goodness gracious, he played that so late. Lets it develop, lets it get under his eyes, and then just a gorgeous cut to find that gap. That was a little louder.
Shades of Kane Williamson playing late and placing it deftly between those two fielders. Ganesh moves to 34 from 22 deliveries.
Of course, we go with Kane Williamson as a devoted Black Caps fan and fellow commentator with a bird named Kiwi.
This time a full toss, thick edge, flies past the shot third man fieldsman for a lucky boundary. The full toss allowing the batters to throw his arms into the shot. Ganesh picks up a couple of boundaries. As Joe would put it, the volume is being turned up as we speak. That has turned into a 9-run over. It is a good over until the halfway mark. Hajizada has figures of 2 for 24 after 3. Blazers find themselves 159 for 4 with 3 more overs to go.
And no righty pace just yet for the Lashings. They will instead bowl out Zahid Zakhail from the near end of the ground, Atul's end. So far, between the 2 days, it's been, or 2 games rather, it's been a day defined by big partnerships. We saw 85 runs put on for the second wicket after Durrani went on the last ball of the first over. This partnership is up to 37 runs between. It's actually not correct. I'm missing something on my little score sheet. Still, though, continued big partnerships and an overthrow here that's going to allow another run to come across, 2 off that first delivery.
That is actually well bowled by Zakhail, spearing that into the block hole of Bharadkar. Bharadkar dug that into the cover fieldsman for a single, shy of the non-strikers and resulting in an overthrow and an extra run for the Blazers. Zakhail with his left arm finger spin would be turning the ball into the left-handed batter, which means Bharadkar can feed into his preferred mid-wicket region with that big swing. There is a bit of a conference between the two umpires, not so clear why the umpires are converging here.
Best guess might be a declaration of a dead ball prior to the second run being taken. Perhaps a short run, although that seems unlikely given they thought that they were just done before that ball got away. We will see here, though. Signal from team manager Deepak Gosain over here to our left. So they thought that was a dead ball.
Indeed, it is only a single.
And batters returning to the prior position.
That was a good spot by Joe from the comm box. The right-handed batter is on strike. Zakil's operating with the same field for both left and right-handed batters. 5-4, although 5 on the right hand is offside. This time Ganesh collapsing his back leg and trying to work that one towards a fine leg, but wide signaled by the umpire. We haven't seen too many wides in the middle stages of the innings. This time an open-faced steer towards the man at point in the ring. That is a useful dot. Zakil's got none for 25 of his 3.3 so far. Can he extricate one of these batters with his remaining 3 balls? Saidip Ganesh goes a little across the line on that occasion and hits that towards along the ground for a single.
And so far, with the exception of those 2 4s at the end of Akmal Hajizada's over, Raina and Zakil, and until then Hajizada, have done a really good job restraining the run rate and trying to avoid that crescendo finish.
Oh, he's
and
bowled
gone!
in! Zakil does get his wicket. Paratkar defeated by a slightly flatter, faster delivery from the bowler. That is a very handy wicket at this stage of the innings for the Lashings team. Blazers 162 for 5 with 2 balls to go in the 18th over. Let's take a look at the replay.
Zahid left on left against Paratkar. Just targeting the stumps. Not a ton of turn on offer there, maybe a little bit back. It might have been angled more towards 4th stump. A very full delivery there from Zahid Zakil. Gets the job done. That'll be Vikash Mohan now into the crease as they remove Paratkar for 2 off 4. After the 2 scores in the 40s, Pereira's gone for 19, Paratkar for 2. Saideep threatening to become a 3rd score into the 40s. Will he manage to go where neither Sanjay nor Sujith could? If so, it would be his 3rd half-century score of the season. And thus far, both of them have been unbeaten. 111 and 60 off 53 and 36, respectively. Simple fact that Ganesh hasn't been dismissed yet means he's got the best average in all of minor league cricket right now, 195 for just 1 dismissal. Mohan's going to get started with a pair and a bit of rough communication in the deep for the Lashings. Ball gets away and allows them to run that 2nd. Look out, by the way, for Ganesh when he gets back up there. We talked about the strike rate being in the 150s, 160s, but he's striking at 221 at the death. And they've got 2 overs left to build up a total. It'll be Ganesh on strike when we come back with over number 19. East Bay Blazers 164 for 5.
Hajizada about to bowl his last over from the far end, operating from left arm over the wicket.
It would be tough to argue against him being the most valuable bowler today for the LA Lashings. might make some argument for Elmore Hutchinson's performance in Game 1. He gets knocked around the ground a bit in Game 2 to the tune of 41 off his 4. Hajizada going at 8s, 2 wickets taken. And he has not been taking cheapies either.
A slowish, what appeared to be a full toss outside the off stump. Ganesh slaps it to the deep cover region for a couple of runs. As Ganesh inches closer to a half century, he is also cutting down the lead on the overall run tally for this competition. Aaron Johnson still at the top with 258 runs. Ganesh in the 240s at the moment. This time Ganesh getting inside the line and trying to paddle that towards fine leg, getting more pad than bat. An appeal from the bowler. The umpire is yet to make his final call. Is that runs of the bat or pad?
It would appear to be pad. I believe it's going on the scorecard already, but the signal a little less than obvious.
Hajizada to Vikash Mohan for the first time. Is he going to take the pace off the ball?
Hajizada likes that one too. Looks like that one might have been a bit down the offside. That is assuredly a leg by, and I think we just got a good look at why we missed the signal the first time. That is awfully subtle. Hajizada, the name of the game for him today has been taking out either current or erstwhile captains and young openers. Got Adapalli and Reefer against Silicon Valley, Durrani and Pereira here against East Bay, looking for more. He's hit the pads the last 2 balls running, just hasn't been able to square them up in front.
This time a chunky connection by the batter, but that is hit towards mid-wicket on a couple of bounces. That is a single off the bat after a couple of leg buys. Very, very tidy work by Hajizada so far in the 19th over. 5 runs with a couple of balls to go.
Seeing Vikash Mohan out there with Saideep Ganesh reminds me of that 23 season when Vikash replaced an injured Saideep Ganesh as the opener. Generally speaking, for the Blazers, he's always been a finisher, but reprising a little bit of his role in West Indies domestic cricket with combined colleges and campuses where he was an opener.
Mohan goes for a big swing through the offside. No contact on that occasion. A handy dot ball for Hajizada.
Said Vikash, a very able opener when he was called into that role. Part of 5 different 50 partnerships that season and only out inside the power play 1 time.
Worked away off the pads by Vikash towards mid-wicket for a single. That is quite the tidy finish by Hajizada. He's got figures of 2 for 28 of his 4 overs. Blazers 170 for 5 after 19.
Guyan Fernando will get the last over of this first innings, trying to restrain the target at the moment. If it finished right now, it would be 171, a little bit shy of what the Lashings were tasked with chasing in our first game today. Worth noting, the bowling card has cleaned up considerably now. Hajizada, Fernando, Zakale, and Raina, all with economies between 7 and 8. The issue has been those other 5 overs, 21 off the 1 from Achilles Brown and 41 off of 4 from Elmore Hutchinson. that have really inflated this run total considerably.
If Fernando can keep the Blazers within about 5 to 10 runs in this over, Lashings should be chasing something similar to this previous game.
And they certainly made a game of that for a solid 13 or 14 overs as the first ball is dragged backward of square for a single. It's going to bring Sadeep Ganesh on strike, and this is the one thing that slightly concerns me. Ganesh has been absolutely massacring right arm pace so far this season, going at better than 2 runs a ball against it. We'll see if Fernando can keep his line and length tight and deny Ganesh the joy here in the late going.
Ganesh goes boom. That is a mighty 6 over mid-wicket. Right on cue, as Joe mentioned, Ganesh right arm pace is a terrific option for the batter. He moves to 48 from 29 with that big booming strike.
We'll find out if his dugout lets him know about the fact that he is closing in on that milestone. I don't know to what extent batters generally have that tally running in their head. I suppose different for different batters.
4 balls to go to close. Ganesh a couple of runs away from a half century, which looks very likely. He's also 11 runs away from Aaron Johnson right now in the overall leaderboard. Fernando around the wicket. That is a handsome looking lofted drive, but on the bounce long off fieldsman. The batters push back for a second run. An appeal of the strikers in, but the umpire says the batter's in safe. Applause at the dugout for a half century. A bustling affair, 50 from just 30 balls. Ganesh continues to pile on the half centuries. This is his second half century on top of that 100 last weekend. 50 of 30 with 3 balls to go in the piece. 179 for 5, the Blazers.
As we said, it was quiet for a little while, and Ganesh has turned up the volume considerably in the last couple of overs.
That is bowled in the block hole, dug out to short cover for a single. Beautiful bowling by the right arm fast bowler. He switched to around the wicket for the last couple of deliveries.
A really good looking Yorker there. That's what you need at this juncture to try and limit the damage on the last 2. You said that 5 to 10 you could probably live with at this point. That is 10. If you're Guyan, you'd love to finish off with a couple of dots, maybe even another patented death wicket.
Down the leg side, as Vikash tries to nudge that towards fine leg. Umpire says wide. Fine leg is in the ring, but if Vikash had got a little bit of bat on that, that would have flown for a 4. Can Fernando find the block hole again? Mohan goes low and scoops it over fine leg for a very dexterous boundary. That is his first boundary of his brief innings. He moves to 8 of 7 with a ball to go.
By the way, it took me a moment because it's split between 2 different profile pages, but that is the 7th career 50-plus score for Sadeep Ganesh. We've got 1 profile for this year, 1 for the rest. Final ball of this first innings from Fernando.
Mohan goes square the wicket on the offside. A tumbling save at
That's a
ring.
tumbling catch and a wicket on the final delivery of the innings, in fact. Nice diving stag. Is that Hajizada again? Let's get a look at this here as Mohan, a lot of width on offer, follows Fernando out there. The footwork not great. Winds up having to reach a little bit too much. And the catch made. We'll find out when the scorecard here for us updates. And rather, it is Elmore Hutchinson. So we begin our day with the Lashings in the field, mistaking Hutchinson for Hajizada. We then mistake him again on the very final ball of things. It's, sunrise, sunset, symmetry, the thing we've been enjoying all day. But 185 for 6, the finish here for the East Bay Blazers. An innings that just kept coming at you over the course of the affair. 3 scores in excess of 40. Only Sadeep Ganesh manages to convert that for his 7th career score over 50 and his 3rd already in just 5 matches of 2025 minor league cricket. Big partnership between Gowda and Krishnamurthy before that, though, the two that went for 44 and 46. They put on 85 for the second wicket before it was left to Ganesh and Pereira and a little bit of Vikash Mohan to put on the final touches. 15 extras in the innings, 4 of those leg buys, 1 a bye, but 9 wides and a no ball. You can imagine how much nicer that might look if it was indeed 176 as the target instead of 186.
Let's take a look at the bowling scorecard for Lashings. Hajizada again with a strong performance up top, 2 for 28, a couple of overs up front and a couple of overs at the death. Fernando, 3 overs, 2 for 30, a couple of useful wickets after going for a few runs earlier on in his spell. Zahid Zakil, 1 for 28 in the middle late stages. Ellie Hutchinson, a rare game where he goes for a few runs, 4 overs, 1 for 41. Achilles Brown was taken for a few boundaries by Krishnamurthy early on, just a 1 over for him. And Raina bowling a handy 4 overs with none for 32. 186 is what Lashings need as we come back in about 15 minutes. We hope to see you folks in a few minutes as the players head out for the innings break. It's quick thank you, but see you soon from Joe, Hari, and the folks on broadcast. See you in a bit. Welcome back, cricket lovers. It is time for the chase as Lashings go about in pursuit of 186 for a victory against the East Bay Blazers. Their openers are marching out into the middle as the Blazers' fielding and bowling unit are getting into position.
And it's going to be Akeem Dodson partnering Zahid Zakhail, who Zakhail typically an opening batter, sometimes in at 3 most of his career in MILC, has been searching for form. And earlier today we saw him out for the 3rd time this season for a duck, 2nd time on the very first ball, both of those times, in fact, courtesy of Sarab Netravalkar. He'll be looking for the opportunity to build with his fellow lefty batter, Akeem Dodson, who had the half-century in our first game today.
Akeem Dodson looked sprightly for his 50 of 42 deliveries earlier in the afternoon, 5 fours and a 6. The Lashings would love for him to build on that form as they go about pursuing this big total.
So I would not mind him to do that either, given that it was an awful lot of fun hearing his nickname Spoogie being yelled over and over and over again. It appears it's going to be the tall youngster Arnav Iyer to open the bowling from the Tarika end for the East Bay Blazers. Looking at who they've got available bowling-wise, you've got Iyer, you've got Faisal Khan, you've got Rushil Ugarkar of MLC recent fame, the under-23 award winner. On the same team as probably the runner-up in that, Sanjay Krishnamurthy here in MILC. You've, of course, got Paradkar, the all-rounder, and then a host of spin options as well. Angelo Pereira, Sanjay Krishnamurthy, Vikash Mohan, even Saideep Ganesh and Sujith Gowda. Really, just about everybody on this team can give you quality overs with ball in hand.
The scorecard on screen, though, says Zakil with Ishak.
If that is Ishak, then he changed his shirt and his helmet and his body type. It's definitely Dodson out there. They'll figure it out. At any rate, it's going to be Zakhail on strike to start. And a full toss that may well be a no ball and has been dispatched towards the boundary. Going to be waiting on a signal from the square leg umpire. And the call from him is that it was on its way down, and had Zakhail stayed put, would have been at hip height or lower.
A wonderful welcome gift for the opening batter there, a full toss around about hip height. Zakil saying thank you very much in taking 4 runs off that first, albeit illegal delivery. Lashings need 9 plus per over in the pursuit of 185. This time fired down the leg side. That is an early wide from Arnav Iyer following up that full toss.
By the way, a correction. The Zakhail shot did not make it to the boundary. That's actually just 2. Off the bat, I was wondering if it was going to land in traffic. It's what happens when you lack depth perception, apparently.
Plus, looking into the sun is an interesting challenge. Big swing towards the mid-wicket region by Zakil. This time not so much bad. It trickles back onto the pitch as the keeper runs up to clean that up.
And our apologies. Either the scorecard is missing some things or we're missing some things. We were pretty sure we saw a wide signal on that second delivery, but it has not come up on the screen here. So just 2 for no loss through these first 3 deliveries. Thought we saw a wide. Thought, at least by eye, we saw a no ball. Thought we saw a 4. We'll do better, we promise. Lovely full-blooded drive by Zahid Zakhail. And that one goes all the way over cover. That might be right up there with the shot of the day from Zahid. Absolutely spanked and hold the pose. No doubt about where that one landed, and the umpire very clear in his signal. Hey, we got one right. 8 for no loss.
Zakil giving himself a little bit of room and opening up the offside on that occasion. Lashings showed a lot of intent through their top order in the previous chase against the strikers. Similar display of intent by the opener at the moment.
And it looks as though in an effort to keep Zakil a little bit closer, Sadiq Ganesh is going to come right up to the stumps with the pacey right armor. Always an interesting gambit here. Bit of risk, potentially some reward. Little pace off, and that one toe-ended right back to the bowler.
The Lashings dugout were absolutely vociferous when the Lashings unit was batting in the previous chase against strikers. Lots of encouraging chirps already for Zahid's boundary. This time worked away off the hips towards the deep square leg region as a couple of fielders converge. It is only going to be a single.
And as you said, Hadi, they need to go a little bit quicker than nines over the course of this. They've got 9 runs off of that first over against Arnav Iyer. 9 for no loss through 1. We seem to have one more delivery here. We'd had a dot and the 1 since that 6, which leads me to believe that we were right about that wide earlier. That one popped up off the splice from Akeem Dodson, and it's going to be a golden duck. Talk about the light and the dark of cricket. A lovely constructed 50 in game 1 of our doubleheader today. This time around, Iyer gets one to rise.
That is tragedy for Dodson and the Lashings. Dodson was the man in form. Unfortunately, he might have closed the face a little too early, finding the edge, and Arnav Iyer equal to the task, sticking his right hand out and completing a handy catch. Good comeback from the opening bowler.
But if it gives the Lashings any comfort, be aware that the Blazers also lost a ball on the lost a wicket rather on the final ball of the first over earlier, and they ended up all the way at 180 something. So doesn't mean you can't either. The innings is young.
The man with the orange helmet is in at number 3, Mohammad Ishaq, as Sanjay Krishnamurthy with jersey 27 is about to bowl his first over from the near end, a left arm conventional spin from around the wicket.
It's been a whole day worth of captain's bowling. We may well later on see captain bowling at captain yet again as Harpreet Singh awaits his entry. He's padded up and seems ready to go in at 4 when the situation calls for it. Ishaq and Zakil hoping to make that take as long as possible.
Magnificent strike by Zakil. That is cleared long on by quite the distance. 20 yards beyond the rope. That is a magnificent 6. Second 6 in quick succession for the left-handed opener.
And that one was threatening my car for sure. Zahid Zakil, stand and deliver. That was absolutely hammered.
Tossed right into Zakil's arc and him obliging with a mighty swing. That is arguably the longest 6, at least down the ground, we've seen so far this afternoon and morning combined.
Yeah, certainly of the ones that we have an up-close view to judge the distance on, that's definitely the winner. That one had me scared for a second.
This time fired in fuller and flatter by Krishnamurthy, tucked away towards the short mid-wicket fielder for a dot. Great early signs for Lashings with Zakil amongst the boundaries in the first couple of overs. This time dinked into the offside. There's a couple of yellow jerseys converging. That is a useful dot for the bowler. Good comeback after the big strike. Krishnamurthy is operating with a 5-4 field. 5 fielders on the offside, 4 of those yellow shirts in the ring. Actually, all 5 in the ring. This time shorter, Zakil goes square of the wicket on the leg side. That has also breached the boundary. Another 6, thunderous applause from the dugout. Lashings on to some early momentum. 3 sixes flowing off the bat of Zakil as Lashings move to 22 for 1 after 10 balls.
And the usually hyper-economical Sanjay Krishnamurthy missing his length a little bit here and traveling twice to the lefty Zahid Zakil. Coming into action this weekend, a 4.78 economy and 2.25 inside the power play.
This time down the ground. There is no long off in place. Long on runs to his right to keep that to a couple of runs as Ishak comes back for a comfortable 2. This is good striking from Zakil using the power plays to full effect. Arnav Iyer, the man at long off, putting the fielding effort. Long on correction. "24 for 1. This is an early blitz from the Lashings batters. Zahid Zakil specifically doing the early running. Krishnamurthy switches to... No, he actually stays with the same angle. Left arm over still. They're pushing for the second run, and Ishak is comfortably home. That is good proactive running from the batters to add on to the damage by the boundaries. Krishnamurthy is still bowling left arm over correction, left arm around correction. That was a mistake on my part earlier. That is a 16-run over from Krishnamurthy. Lashings 26 for 1 after 2.
So far, the strike absolutely dominated by Zahid Zakil, and why not? 25 for him off 11 to get Lashings off to a quick start in this run chase. It'll now be Mohammad Ishaq in at 3, facing his first delivery.
Ishaq fresh from 13 runs of 13 balls earlier in the morning against the strikers.
Yeah, very proactive short cameo opening up against Saurabh Netravalkar. Took him for a couple of boundaries before going out.
That has been speared into Midland off by Arnav Iyer. Work towards short mid wicket for a dot. Watchful start by the right-handed batter.
Arnav did not feature a ton in the game or in the games last weekend. Just 2 overs against San Diego for 20 runs.
Big flare through the offside by Ishaq, but no contact. Bowled foolish, a little outside the off stump by Iyer.
Iyer was took 1 for 19 yesterday in the first matchup between these teams. Got Mayank Raghav to go on a golden duck. Mayank not part of the 11 either of the games today for the LA Lashings.
That has been struck ferociously by Ishaq. Waiting for the umpire's confirmation. That is a 6 from the right-handed batter. 6s from both batters right now. Signs of danger for the Blazers as both batters find some boundary hitting form early on in the power play. Let's take a look at the replay.
Can we get the replay with sound? Because that was half the enjoyment of that particular strike. That had that Shohei Ohtani sound to it. A crack where the second you hear it, you know where that ball's landing.
Lashings doing a fair bit of blazing early on in the power play at the moment. Zakil already with 3 sixes off spin and pace, and Ishaq joining the party with that big 6 of Iyer. Another loud thwack. This time mid-on is tracking it. And he has pouched it safely. It has been an eventful over and it's only 4 balls old as Ishak makes the trudge back home.
Yep.
Looking to...
A little bit of confusion on the scorecard at the moment. I think they awarded 3 on one of the earlier balls, which made it seem like Zakhail should have been on strike. I do believe that is another mistake because it is assuredly Mohammad Ishaq, as Hadi referenced earlier, the bright red helmet or orange helmet, whatever it is, it's practically pulsating. Makes it very evident who you're looking at, and it was Ishaq with those 2 very hard thwacks, one of them over the boundary and the other one into the hands of Long On. And they seem to be in the midst of fixing it.
Skipper Harpreet Singh is in at number 4. Lots of early momentum for the Lashings, but unfortunately they've lost a couple of wickets, which means the game is on an even keel at the moment as Arnav Iyer continues to bowl. Attempted sliced drive by Harpreet, no contact. On both of his first 2 overs, Iyer has conceded a big boundary and come back with a wicket. Harpreet Singh with 30 from 25 in the game in the morning. A good looking shot, but towards mid-off. That is a dot ball.
And that will do it for the over. And how do you mention things being on a rather even keel at this point? Well, one way of assessing that in a chase is to look at the DLS par score, which is presently 34. LA Lashings 32 for 2 through 3, more or less on pace.
Change of bowling at the near end. It appears to be Rushil Ugarkar at the near end, limbering up.
Certainly looks like him. Saw a lot of him from press boxes in Oakland Coliseum and at Grand Prairie Stadium over the course of my month of June and July. Ugarkar, a star in the making in USA cricket, and somebody who, if you have ambitions of being in the playoffs, you want this guy on your side. His teams tend to win. He tends to make a massive contribution, most notably a champion in both minor and major league now. So with the Dallas Mustangs in 23, took 10 wickets at 8.4 per in 3 matches over the course of the Super 8 stage. And then in MLC 25, you already know the story. Player of the final and under 23 player of the tournament. The massive over as he starts with a wide here. But the massive over, the 20th over when Kyron Pollard could not go. Facing up to the Glens, Phillips and Maxwell. Defending 12, gave up just 4. And took the wicket of Maxey. It really was a heck of a moment in that stadium and in that press box. I just feel like you were witnessing the birth of something really big.
This time glided into the gap by Zakil. That was a good-looking stroke and in the gap as well. Beautiful boundary off the pace of Ugarkar. Zakil doing damage to every bowler who's been used so far. That is slanted across the left-hander. And Zakil finding a fair bit of timing and precision placement on that languid stroke. He surges to 29 of just 12 balls. Immediate adjustment in the field in response to that shot. Sweeper cover has been dispatched to the edge of the field. Zakil advances down the track and lofts it to the left of mid-on. Mid-on makes an important catch. That is a huge moment in the game. Zakil, after looking like $1 million, falls for 29 from 13 balls. Ugarkar with a strike immediately after being hit for 4.
And you absolutely cannot keep Arnav Iyer out of the game, as he's the one on the receiving end of that catch. 2 wickets already as a bowler, and now involved in that one.
That is dollops of disappointment for the Lashings unit. Zakil was looking good for a really big innings on that occasion, advancing down the track, but not quite getting it off the middle. 37 for 3. This has been a frenetic power play. 6s, wickets, and we're only halfway into the 6-over mark.
And so in at 5, a little earlier than he was indicating he might be when I talked with him in the innings break, is Achilles Brown. I mentioned earlier the 2 big upsets, and it's the 2 men who are essentially trains passing in the night right now, is Zahid Zakhail being the most destructive bowler that the Lashings have had while he struggles with the bat. Achilles Brown has gotten beaten up a little bit in terms of economy over the course of the season with the Lashings as a bowler, but has been among their most reliable bats for producing runs. And for all of his talents, he will be somewhat happy to be facing up immediately with Rashil Ugarkar, you might imagine. Right arm pace this season, a 120 strike rate coming into the weekend, compared to the 82 overall. He's generally taken some time to construct those innings, but they've been productive ones. 44 not out, most notably.
Ugarkar's operating with the 5-4 field to Achilles Brown. 5 on the offside, a man back at sweeper cover. That one's bashed into the wicket, defended softly by Achilles Brown towards point, allowing the batters to complete a quick single. He's off the mark straight away.
That's one there where you see Harpreet Singh get off to the quick run. He's got the best view of where that ball wound up and the opportunity, and so the talk between the 2 partners as they look to build this new partnership immediately on point and productive.
That cut him in half. That was bowled into the pitch and might have just veered away from the tentative offering by the batter. Great delivery.
Goodness gracious. Harpreet Singh in quite a bit of, the very least, psychological discomfort.
4 fielders on the leg side at the moment. 3 men in the ring, and there is a deep square leg in place. That is a steer towards the point region for a single for Harpreet. That is bowled outside the off stump. Achilles Brown trying to negotiate the line, not quite getting the bounce that he expected. Handy line by the bowler. That concludes a very influential over. 7 runs off his first over and an extremely important wicket of the form batter, Zahid Zakil. Lashings 39 for 3 after 4.
As you know, if you're listening to a game I'm on the call on, you're going to get out-of-town scores along with what is going on right here. The only other games going on in the West this weekend are up in Seattle. And in Seattle right now, the San Ramon Grizzlies chasing a target of 127, currently at 91 for 7. They've got enough balls to get there for sure, 36 needed off 28. The question is, do they have enough resources in terms of batting? Just 3 wickets left in hand. Harish Kakani, the all-rounder, is out there right now with Vatsal Vagela, with only Ayan Desai and the potentially powerful but also potentially gone in 1 ball, Tajwali. So that game getting interesting.
Faisal Khan Ahmed Sai limbering up at the far end as we speak. A procession of left-arm pacemen from the far end.
As we examine the standings at this point, you mentioned East Bay a chance if they can defend this to go to 4-1. They and Silicon Valley would absolutely be in command of the division in the event that Seattle-San Ramon pair of games winds up being a split. As it stands, this would send San Ramon to 3-3 if they can't finish that chase.
Singh pokes that one out into the covers for a quick single. After the flurry of boundaries from Zahid Zakil, it's been a couple of quiet overs from these 2 new right-handed batters.
Good news is, with them still going at roughly 10 runs and over for this chunk of time, a little bit of time to negotiate this, make sure that the 3 wickets down doesn't turn into 5 very quickly, and give yourself a chance to build your way back into this. We know Achilles has been a slow starter, but somebody who will get your runs if he sticks around.
That seemed like a wide for a brief moment, but I don't see any signal from the umpire.
Achilles a little dumbfounded there, might have gotten a piece of pad on the way through. And no, never mind, it's shown up on the on the scorecard, and we see the umpire gesturing about the leg side part of it. I am mystified.
This time an edge from Brown, flies towards third man. It's only going to be a single because there is protection in the deep. He might have just played that with a slightly opened face.
By the by, for the second time, we've seen either a wide appear or disappear on the card. It's back to a dot now. I was pretty sure we did not see the signal come, but continuing lefty over the wicket.
Harpreet gets a good chunk of that, square of the wicket on the offside. That is a flashing square drive by the skipper. Much needed boundary for the Lashings after those wickets. That is Singh's first boundary. Lashings surged to 45 for 3.
Yeah, and just too full on that one. Doesn't quite get the Yorker length. Winds up being a nice wide half volley. Juicy. Harpreet says, "Thank you. May I have another?" Changes in the field here in response to that, and now we see Point getting pushed back to the rope along with backwards square. This one, though, guided towards a small gap on the offside. Stays inside the inner circle, though. Just a single on offer there. 1 ball left in this 5th over. Oh, and we've got a no ball and a free hit coming up to go along with it. The signal this time clear as day from the umpire, so a bonus run, an extra delivery, and a chance for Achilles Brown to cut loose. Perhaps feel the delightful connection of leather and willow.
Ahmed Sai has had a pretty tidy tournament so far. Figures of none for 21, 1 for 17, 2 for 12, and none for 15. Almost always economy below 6 in each of those spells. That is speared full and wide of the off stump. The batsman is appealing for a wide and the umpire obliges. The free hit still stays. Ahmed Sai trying to hide that one away from the reach of the right-handed batter.
Well, Achilles Brown with some long levers. He's got a bit of unorthodox technique. Described him a little bit as a 20-year-old Philadelphian Trent Bolt, but maybe without all the sound effects.
This time Achilles Brown goes to the offside by quite the distance and tries to scoop that one towards final leg. Gets a trickle of bat on that. That bobbles towards the leg slip region for a single.
Still 1 ball left in the over as Harpreet Singh will try to bring up the 50 and keep LA going at 10 runs and over. Or maybe he feels like going boom boom and augmenting that to 11.
That is a pull shot towards the vacant fine leg region. Square leg runs to his right in vain. He does go boom boom like Joe mentioned as Lashings bring up their 50 inside the 5th over. That is a very, very productive Ahmedsai over from a Lashings standpoint.
Yeah, they will pull a whopping 14 off of that, and 2 of them courtesy of a wide and a no ball, giving them a chance to square up extra deliveries. A pair of boundaries, though, as well. And with that, 53 for 3 through 5. Rushilo Garkar will stay in for the 6th over and the last of the power play, and the first delivery run off the face of the bat, and a 4 for Achilles Brown. Very delicate. You do that sort of thing, I might start comparing you to different Kiwi batters. They are my primary frame of reference. Brown unable to take full advantage of the free hit earlier, courtesy of the Faisal Khan no ball, but a much better look here. Played very late against the wunderkind Rushilo Garkar. Just needed a little bit of help. Good comeback delivery from Ugarkar, decides to target the stumps, dig it in a little bit, and picks up the dot. Continuing to have half an eye on Tollgate Farms up in Seattle. San Ramon Grizzlies now 101 for 9. And it is down to Desai and Tajwali to try and pick up 26 runs without losing a wicket in 3 overs. Seems like Seattle are just about home there. 2 dots to follow the deft Achilles Brown 4. Brown on the season has had roles in the chases the Lashings have subjected themselves to. That 44 not out on this field against Silicon Valley. Also responsible for the winning 4 against the San Ramon Grizzlies.
This time tickled towards the square leg region. They're thinking about 2. They're pushing for the second run. It is eventually a comfortable 2 runs. Brown definitely using the angle of that delivery to work it behind the man in the ring. 6 runs of this Ugarkar over so far.
It's always easy for me to forget exactly how nimble and sprightly Harpreet Singh can be, because one of the most eye-popping innings I've ever seen him deliver was one basically on one leg. And so I tend to think of him just because of that sometimes as immobile, but he's been off like a shot a couple of times to take those quick 2s. Brown running that one to the offside. He needs to scramble back. Direct hit might have had him in a little bit of trouble as that ball was run to point. He thought he had a little more time to make up his mind.
Quite a bit of good cricket all around there. That was a pacey offer from Ugarkar in the first place. An open-faced steer by Brown towards point and a shy at the striker's end. And a good bit of backing up in the deep. Quite a lot of things happening there for a dot ball. on the scorecard.
I was about to say, it only makes me sad that I've got nothing else to write down besides the little dot. It feels like at least 3 things that happened that I liked.
That is a rich dot ball. This time defended softly into the square region in the offside for a dot. That is the end of a 6-run Ogarkar over. He's got figures of 1 for 13 after his 2 overs. Lashings 59 for 3 at the end of the power plays.
Fielding restrictions lifted as we get ready for the 7th over here. And of course, all you can do with a big chase, especially one that's going to require you to post your highest score of the season to get there, is break it into pieces and try to win each phase of it. Well, right now, Honors even. The DLS par score through 6 overs is 60 with 3 wickets down. LA Lashings sitting at 59. And they'll face up with Faisal Khan, who had an expensive first over. That one run to the offside, a little more space there now that the fielders have spread out. That'll give them time to run a single. Harpreet Singh gets things underway here in over number 7.
Amatsai operating left arm around the wicket from the far end. He's employed a 5-4 field for the right-handed. In fact, for both of the right-handed batters at the moment. 3 yellow jerseys hugging the line on the leg side in the deep, and 1 man in the ring at short fine leg.
It's funny, besides Zakhail and Paradkar, I don't think we've seen any other lefties since, basically every single Silicon Valley striker.
Opportunity play towards the bowler. Is that a catch? That might have been a ground shot because the jerseys aren't converging.
Yep, nobody celebrating or looking toward the heavens as if to ask why. So, yeah, dot ball.
That is also another rich dot ball. 2 men back on the offside, a 3rd man and a sweeper cover. That has been pushed towards the covers for a quick single. Try the strikers end. There's a direct hit. What is the umpire doing?
Well, Harry's walking, so I think that tells you everything you need to know. Bat wasn't grounded. They look to take that quick single, and the captain's got to go.
That might have just been a case of the commentators' jinx being applied. You just mentioned about Harpreet's mobility earlier. Unfortunately,
don't put this on me, Huddy.
It is not on you, but it is...
No, I think they're maybe just a little overzealous. That was always going to be a challenging single to take.
Still waiting to find out the fielder's name at the moment. Lashings' innings has been filled with dollops of entertainment. Plenty of sixes early on from Zakil, a lot of boundaries from the other batters as well. Interspersed with 4 wickets. Lashings probably a couple of wickets more down than they would want at this stage. 60 for 4.
There's been a lot of bang-bang of all sorts. Be that wickets falling, be that direct hits, be that absolutely crunching boundary shots. It's a little something for everybody, no matter what you enjoy about this sport. You're still waiting for that to go live on the scorecard and let us know. Was run to the offside, but with the new batter, the lefty, Aryan Chowdhury, I can't just look at the field and guess at who it might have been, because all those guys who were to the right from our broadcast position are now over on the left. Maybe Vikash Mohan, thinking about where he tends to station himself in the field. That seems like as likely an option as any. And no, Sujith Gowda, the one with the direct hit. First delivery to the new batter, Aryan Chowdhury, in at 6. whistles past the outer edge.
Faisal Khan Ahmed Sai has switched to over the wicket to the incoming left-handed batter. Attempted push towards the leg side by the batter results in a dot, I believe. The scoreboard on screen shows Achilles Brown is on strike, but he's actually at the non-strikers end after the run out of the skipper. So it is Chowdhury who's facing Ahmed Sai right now. A couple of dot balls to begin his innings. This has turned out into a tremendous comeback over from Ahmed Sai after 14 runs in his first over. On the stumps on that occasion. Nice pace on offer, blocked back towards the bowler. Terrific Ahmed Sai over, just a single run and an important wicket. Lashings 60 for 4 after 7 overs. For fans of tennis, there's quite a lot of tasty tennis on at the moment. Business end of the US Open this weekend. Ariana Sabalenka taking the US Open title earlier today, defeating Anisimova in a pair of straight sets, 6-3, 7-6. We will have a blockbuster 1v2 battle tomorrow in the men's final as Yannick Sinner takes on Carlos Alcaraz.
Hitting a bouncing ball with a flat implement, I'll allow it. Seems on brand for us here. Vikash Mohan into the attack. Labor Day weekend bowled just 2 overs against the Silicon Valley Strikers, took 1 for 7. As a result of that, albeit with an incredibly small sample size, third best economy in MILC coming into the weekend.
Tucked away towards square leg for a single by Brown. The scorecard is a little awry at the moment on screen. I believe it's Brown who took that single. Chowdhury is facing up to Vikash Mohan right now, the left-handed batter.
They seem to have worked out the error of their ways. Off spin versus left-hand batter, always a winning matchup.
You mean a winning matchup for the watchers? That's a winning matchup for the bowler. Vikash Mohan defeats that big swing from Chowdhury across the line. The LEDs go zing. The yellow jerseys converge to celebrate a 5th Blazers strike. Lashings slipped to 61 for 5 in the middle of the 8th over. The departing Lashings wickets now matching up to all the boundaries and catching up to Lashings. They are in danger of collapsing in the middle stage here. That was a slightly tossed up off spinner by Vikash Mohan, which sort of straightened upon pitching and defeating the swing towards wide long on by Chowdhury. He makes the long trek back to the hut after not from 4 balls. Lashings in a spot of bother. The run rate is still a pretty handy 8.3, but they've lost half their side.
Well, Chowdhury, I mentioned, has had his struggles against pretty much everything besides leg spin so far in his young MILC career. Took 21 runs off 20 balls against Vedant Jain and Zia Shahzad last weekend. That's most of what he's got. He's 6 for now 3 off of 29 balls against everything else he's faced, and none for 1 off 12 deliveries against off spin. Akash Sundaresan had him absolutely stapled to the crease last week, and that was why I mentioned that Vikash out there seemed like a good matchup based on what I saw, and yet again, spinning that web, this time dismissed by it.
Shiva washes the right-hander in at number 7. This time pushed towards long off for a single. Shiva's off the mark straight away. Achilles Brown holding the middle face together for Lashings. 10 of 14 so far. He's been measured in his approach so far. That is a dot towards the silly mid-wicket fieldsman. This time worked away off the hips towards the deep square leg fielder. That is only going to be a single. That is an extremely tidy start from Vikash Mohan. 3 runs and an important wicket. Lashing 63 for 5 after 8.
Well, 2 overs ago, we told you that the par score was sitting at just a run ahead of the LA Lashings total at that point. Since then, they have lost 2 wickets for just 3 runs, and they now sit 28 runs behind the par score. So the loss of wickets, something that will certainly influence that. You need to be closer to the target if you've got fewer wickets in hand for DLS to favor you. And right now, a match-turning spell. Faisal Khan from one end, Vikash Mohan from the other, wrestling this game back for the East Bay Blazers, firmly on their side now.
Abhishek Paratkar is being introduced into the attack. Left arm pace from the far end. He's about to begin left arm over to the right-handed Achilles Brown. Earlier in the batting innings, we mentioned Saideep Ganesh was stalking Aaron Johnson to get atop the leaderboard of the batting charts. Abhishek Paratkar is a couple of wickets away from Shadley van Schalkwijk. He's got 12 wickets, chasing Shadley's 14.
I think Shadley's got 15 by now. He's taken 2 today in the game against the San Ramon Grizzlies, including maybe the reason you didn't see that one is because it might well have been the last one. That game just ending in a 20-run Seattle victory. San Ramon 106 all out, with 7 balls left potentially in the innings. So as we're here, that live leaderboard ticking over yet again. Shadley van Schalkwijk absolutely rampant. I believe that is now 5 games in a row. He's got multiple wickets to start the season. He went 3-3-3-4 over Labor Day, and he's got 2 now. Just an unreal start. That's already more wickets than he took in MLC. And he was the leading domestic wicket taker. That one run back to backward point. Up with it quickly is Durrani.
Paratkar's got 5 for 15, 3 for 30, 3 for 20, and 1 for 14 on his 4 outings so far. He has been extremely incisive in different phases of the game.
If you wanted to be a jerk about it, you'd say diminishing returns, but I don't want to be a jerk about it. 3rd in MILC, though, coming into the weekend, and I believe still so, in that wicket takers column.
This time Shiva steers that to the square region on the offside for a single. The early blaze of boundaries has sort of subsided, and it's a more consolidating phase at the moment for the middle order batters after the loss of a few wickets in the last 4 to 5 overs.
Yeah, run rate at the moment now down near 7.5, and the required rate up toward 10.5. An appeal there, and a long think about it before it is given by the umpire, and Abhishek Paratkar has crept that much closer to van Schalkwijk at the top.
Paratkar getting a wicket in his first over is not a surprise. He's done that on multiple occasions in this tournament.
We'll get a look here at the delivery that did it. And if I were to be concerned about anything, it might have been pitching outside leg. That I would expect, because the direction it was going, the height, no problem with any of that. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's what the umpire paused and had a good think about, was where exactly did that pitch, because it is very close.
Achilles Brown, the batter, wasn't too thrilled with the decision, but that is the nature of batters anyways, as they are given the marching orders. He departs, trudges off reluctantly. He made...
Now he departs with 12 off of 18. So it'll be Vashishat and Elmore Hutchinson now to pair up in the center.
Hutchinson in a lot earlier than he would have anticipated. He is a man who can try to go boom boom in the late stage of the innings. This time finds himself in the middle with more than 11 overs to go.
Yeah, to give you a sense of exactly what that looks like, last season, when in the middle overs, his strike rate was 71, and he hit about 6% of the balls he saw to the boundary. In the death overs, you more than double that strike rate to 165, and you more than triple that boundary rate all the way to 22% of the deliveries he faced. It just has to be a different approach at this time, otherwise nothing really behind him. Remaining in the shed, Rubal Raina, Akmal Hajizada, and Gayan Fernando. Akmal has 11 career MILC runs, Rubal 23. Gayan 84, but has yet to have a score over 11 since the 2021 inaugural season. So it's got to be these two if anything is going to come of this. A single on the second ball that Elmore faces. He will retain the strike. Rather demonic looking scoreline here through 9 overs. LA Lashings 66 for 6.
Vikash Mohan about to continue his spell from the near end. 1 for 3 of his first over. Shiva's on strike. A tumbling stop by the fieldsman in the ring around the mid-on mid-wicket region. That is a good-looking push, but kept in the ring. This time an open-faced steer into the gap on the offside, but it is still kept in the ring by the cover fieldsman. That is a single to the batter.
Well, with the updates coming from Seattle, and the knowledge now that the Grizzlies are 3-3 and the Seattle Thunderbolts 3-2, you're going to have Silicon Valley at 4-1, and it would appear more than likely East Bay at 4-1 when we come here tomorrow. And I would contend, Hadi, I think you and I are basically going to be watching a battle for a playoff spot. You've got to figure the winner of that game going to 5 wins with where everybody else is set, probably on their way to Dallas for the Super 8s.
Driven through the gap on the offside. That is a single for Shiva.
On the other hand, the team that loses tomorrow ends up at 2 losses, level with Seattle, potentially even Seattle going to 4-2 tomorrow. And so if you're the Blazers right now, you feel good. You've beaten the Strikers once as the ball is going to be hit for a single. Straight back past the outstretched left hand of Vikash Mohan. But it certainly gives you a bit of extra oomph here in case you don't manage to win that game against Silicon Valley tomorrow. You want to really do something with your net run rate here to try and keep Seattle at bay if that becomes a tight matchup.
That is a dot ball to finish Vikash Mohan's second over. He's been extremely tidy so far, 1 for 6 of his 2 overs, just 3 singles on this one. Lashings find themselves 69 for 6 at the halfway stage. We take a little breather as players get a quick drink at the 10 over stage.
Elmore Hutchinson on strike as Abhishek Paradkar will steam in, left arm round the wicket. Oh, correction, over. Again appealing for leg before, nothing given this time around. Sheer size of Elmore Hutchinson can sometimes play tricks with you trying to judge leg before, because he's just got that much bigger of a of a shin pad and a knee and a higher of a knee roll than anybody else. I would not envy an umpire in that situation. Three off 6 so far for Shiva Vashishat.
Paradkar switches to around the wicket to Shiva Vashisht as there are some minor calibrations in the field. Angling into the pads as the batters take a single. Is that leg buys? Is that runs of the bat? Leg buys they are.
So whatever it was a appeal in 2 acts from Abhishek Paradkar. We heard the initial start and then a little bit of a bark afterwards. Leg buys on each of the last 2 deliveries following the single. Vashishat out here was a SoCal Lashing back when they played under that name in 2021 and 22. 62 career runs coming into the weekend. 32 of those coming in his second innings in MILC. That against another team that is now onto its third name. They were the Irving Mustangs, then they were the Dallas Mustangs. They are now Kings 11 Dallas, which I appreciate that name being resurrected. I was mad when Punjab got rid of it.
Big swing across the line by Elmore Hutchinson, but that one scuttles below his swing. Paradkar has been employing a left arm over the wicket angle to Hutchinson and a left arm around the wicket to Shiva Vashisht. Hutchinson on that occasion fancying that length. Again, a similar swing, again no contact, again the keeper Ganesh collects. That is a useful pair of dot balls by Paradkar. Wouldn't be too surprised if Paradkar bowls a pace off delivery, saying Hutchinson go for the hills. This time Hutchinson gets some wood on that one. Long on runs to his left in vain. That is a handy boundary for the big man from Jamaica. Lashing 76 for 6 after 11 overs.
As we get a look, the first good cut loose there from Elmore. A nice straight drive right past the stumps. It's really the only doubt off the bat was would it have its path interrupted by the timber and cost him that opportunity, but picks that up nicely. Final delivery of the over. That'll be a single to finish off here for Paradkar. 8 runs so far, all he's conceded off of his 2, and of course took that big wicket of Achilles Brown. LA Lashings 76 for 6.
Vikas Mohan continues to bowl right arm around the wicket. Pushed back towards the bowler by Hutchinson. One for 6 of 2.1 so far. Extremely tidy returns. At the moment, Hutchinson goes big into the leg side. A couple of yellow jerseys converging. Mid-wicket pouches the catch. More celebrations for Vikas Mohan and the Blazers. Another Lashings batter falls, trying to hit a big shot. 76 for 7 after 11.2 as Hutchinson makes the long walk back. He falls for 3 from 12 balls, or is it 8 from 12 balls with 1 boundary?
Yeah, the wickets have been falling rapidly since they got to 60 for 4. We were talking, or to 60 for 3 rather, at the end of the power play. Dating back to 6.3, so that would be 5 overs worth of deliveries, 30 balls. The Lashings have now lost 4 wickets for 16 runs, and just a stretch from a promising position to very decisively being out of this one, and not dissimilar from what we saw a little later in the piece in the first innings. In that one, 10, 11 overs in, LA Lashings right on pace, looked like they were doing exactly what they needed to do, and again, lost a couple of wickets. Netravalkar came in and took those 2 quick ones, lost another one, I think, to Zazai, and basically that quick little clutch of wickets, that was that. It's going to be Rubal Raina in at 9.
Suleiman Arabzai was the man who completed that catch at deep mid-wicket. As Vikas Mohan on his haunches appealing, Raina offering a tentative poke, finding more pad than bat.
Vikas Mohan bowling like he's got dinner reservations. Trying to bring this one to an end quickly, just 3 wickets still in hand. That one rolled to Paradkar on the circle.
Oh.
Direct hit. But no signal from the umpire at either side. And according to them, Shiva got back.
It seemed to be Paradkar from short mid-wicket who got the shy in at the non-striker's end.
What's new? Abhishek Paradkar blowing up the stumps.
There is a convergence of yellow jerseys around the umpire. They felt they had their man, but the umpire obviously staying put with his decision. He believed the non-striker was in securely. A lot of addo for a dot, one of those richer dots as we refer to them. 110 needed of 50 balls at this stage. Looks a million miles away at the moment. An open-faced steer by Raina finds the man at point in the ring.
These rich dot balls feel like the jazz of cricket. Like you have to listen to the runs I'm not scoring.
This time Raina goes into the offside, trying to scoop that towards the fine leg region. He does not make any contact. That is yet another dot ball for Rikash Mohan. He keeps building these tidy overs up. He's got figures of 2 for 6 after his 3 overs.
And a wicket maiden in his third rather. LA Lashings 76 for 7. A warm, windy day in Morgan Hill is at most 8 overs away from its conclusion. East Bay Blazers looking to see if they can wrap that up just a little bit earlier, just 3 more wickets, and they would walk away with win number 4 and retie the Silicon Valley Strikers atop the Western Division table. Strikers division champions in 2022, the year after they won the league as a wild card. Blazers have won the division the last 2 seasons running.
That has been struck firmly towards mid-off for a quick single. Try the non-striker's end is backed up by the short fine leg fieldsman.
It's Faisal Khan back into the attack from the Tarika end. His first over was a rather destructive one for LA Lashings. It was arguably the last destructive one they've had when they hung 14 on him toward the end of the power play. Second over, though, a single run and a wicket. The wicket, though, not credited to Faisal. It was a run out. That run out of Harpreet Singh, arguably the beginning of the end for LA.
Oh, he's bowled him! This time the wickets would be credited to Ahmed Sai. That was bowled pretty quick around about off stump, beating Raina's defensive stroke and poleaxing the off stump. Great sight for a fast bowler.
Goodness gracious, that was moving. Faisal Khan's 4th wicket of 2025, and we'll just see here going straight at leg stump. Just unable to get the bat down in time. Just about Yorker length there. Maybe a little shorter than that, but gets the job done, no doubt. That's the end for Rubal Raina. That'll bring out Akmal Hajizada at 10.
.77 for 8 after 12.2 overs. Ahmed Sai steaming in from left arm over. This time edged by the new batter that flies towards third man for a 4. Streaky runs, but useful runs for the Lashings. I haven't seen too many bowlers employ slips through most of this tournament. Hajizada walking down the track and trying to push that one down the ground, but finding an outside edge.
That Akmal's 2nd boundary in MILC. The other one, not for nothing, took Carmine LaRue out for 6 on debut.
Speared in full and fast by the left arm quick. That was watchfully defended by the batter towards the bowler. This time worked away towards the deep square leg region. The man at the fence runs in to keep the batters to a single run.
And that a nice full-blooded shot there from Hajizada. He is not going to get cheated out there. 1 remaining on this 13th over. Lone remaining man getting padded up now to go in at 11 is Guyan Fernando.
That was a full toss around about hip height, deflected towards the short fine leg fielder. 6 runs and a wicket to end Ahmed Sai's third over with figures of 1 for 21. Lashings 82 for 8 after 13 overs.
Sanjay Krishnamurthy, who bowled himself for the first over at a tool's end. You went for big runs in that one, 16, including a pair of sixes from an, at that time, rampant Zahid Zahel. He'll come back in now looking to repair what that did to his economy.
Watchful defensive stroke by the left-handed Hajizada. Krishnamurthy operating left arm around the wicket to the left-handed batter. Hajizada jumps down the track and tries to go down the ground, but finds a thin edge towards the point fieldsman and the ring. That is a dot ball. This time bowled a little flatter, watchfully defended by the batter into the point region for a dot. That's 3 dots on the bounce by Krishnamurthy.
It is interesting with all the streaky edges we've been seeing from Hajizada that you wouldn't have third man maybe a little deeper, certainly in the prior over against the pacer.
This time he goes across and tries to hit that through mid-wicket. The yellow jerseys are converging. It's not quite clear what's happened.
I believe he edged that into the gloves of the keeper, and that is going to be the end of the affair for Akmal Hajizada.
Pretty solid comeback over by Krishnamurthy so far. 3 dots and a wicket after his expensive first over in the power plays. Hajizada departs for 5 from 7 balls. That one scuttling a little low and defeating Hajizada's swing towards the mid-wicket as he makes the long forlorn trek back to the hut. Lashings now 82 for 9 as Guyan Fernando enters the fray at number 11. Can the Lashings last pair bat out a few more overs, or will the Blazers look to wrap this up and carve a big chunk of net run rate from this victory? Five-4 field to the number 11 batter. Fernando goes back and punches this one towards the short cover fieldsman.
The dividing line of that run out of Harpreet Singh, it is really eye-popping to look at.
Defended with a squarish drive this time. A dot ball again. That is a very, very tidy comeback over from Krishnamurthy. 5 dots and a wicket. He's got figures of 1 for 16 after his 2 overs. Lashings 82 for 9 after 14.
And as we stay here, just kind of recapping what has happened to the Lashings. First 38 deliveries of the day. They did lose the 3 wickets. Dodson gone on a golden duck. Ishak gone after going boom once. Zahel off to a flyer at 29 off 13, but then caught by Iyer off the bowling of Ugarkar. But they got out of the power play, going at 10 runs and over. It was 60 for 3, 2 balls into the 7th over. Since then, 22 runs for the loss of 6 wickets off of the ensuing 46 deliveries. Absolute carnage here at the Strikers cricket ground here for the LA Lashings. They have not had a good time out here, and they're looking...
Shiva unfolds a good-looking pull shot as Arnav Iyer bowls from the far end. That is a single, which brings back the number 11 Fernando on strike. Arnav Iyer into his 3rd over. He's got figures of 2 for 17. He got wickets right after being hit for boundaries in both of his first 2 overs. a cotton bowled and a caught in the infield dismissal to remove a couple of top order batters.
Moral of the story, don't hit a boundary against him. It might cost you.
This time defended into the point region by Fernando. He's been studious with his defense so far. A 5-4 field with 5 on the offside for both of these batters. Fernando goes swinging into the leg side, gets an inside edge. The batters complete a quick single.
Direct hit might have ended the game there from Rushilo Gadekar, and the inside edge itself very nearly down onto the stumps. Hands on the head from Arnav Iyer. He thought he had his third.
Shiva opens the face of the bat and hits this towards deep point. It is a single along the carpet.
Just the second innings for Guyan Fernando in this season. One not out off one against Seattle. So we mentioned no higher than 11 any of his scores since the 2021 season, when he was a little bit more legitimate of a late order bat.
That is worked towards the deep mid-wicket region for a single by Fernando as he moves to 2. The scorecard on screen a little ahead of the real game. It is Shiva on strike at the moment. Change of pace, a bit of deflection into the offside. That is a single. That is the end of Arnav Iyer's third over. He's got figures of 2 for 21 after 3 overs, as Lashings moved to 87 for 9 after 15.
Sanjay Krishnamurthy to stay on at Atul's end. Backed up the rather brutal showing, the 16 off of his first over, with a wicket maiden in his second. And is right back to it again, now dotting up the right-handed batter on strike, Shiva Vashisht. Into the sweep, picks out the man at fine leg.
A couple of decent looking shots by Shiva, but although both of them straight to the fieldsman and the ring on either side of the wicket.
Trying a bit more for that. It does get pad. The umpire not interested. Sanjay thought he had the finishing touch on this victory. Instead, just a 9th successive dot for him from this end of the ground. Steps forward, hits that straight back at Sanjay, and bats it around. Thought for a moment he might guide it onto the stumps with a bit of fortune. Fernando, though, seemed back in his crease.
Shiva jumps on the track and guides this towards deep cover for a single. Finally, a run of Krishnamurthy's thrifty bowling at the back end of the innings. Still technically the middle stage of the innings.
No, I think we're in the death overs now.
Yeah.
Yeah, over number 16. That one's guided wide of long off Angie Pereira, but he'll get to it. Just a pair off the Krishnamurti over. Final drops of a doubleheader here in Morgan Hill. 4 overs left or one more wicket. LA Lashings 89 for 9. And it'll be Rushil Ugarkar back into the attack for over number 17, trying to apply that final touch. For LA Lashings, every ball they continue out there and every run they manage to score, trying to do some surgery on the net run rate. East Bay Blazers would love to finish this off early and give themselves a potential tiebreaker advantage down toward the end of the season. Looks like it's going to be a race between them, the Strikers, and depending on how tomorrow goes, one of the Grizzlies or Thunderbolts. Grizzlies now on 3 losses, Thunderbolts on 2. Strikers and Blazers meet tomorrow, both likely to be at 4-1 as that one is lofted in the air, reaching forward and squeezing it for wicket number 10 is the man at mid-wicket.
It appears to be that man again, Abhishek Paratkar at deep mid-wicket, who snaffled that, although we await for final confirmation of that.
But in the meanwhile, the main confirmation you need is 89 all out for the LA Lashings, who narrowly managed to avoid falling by triple digits in this one. It will be a 96-run defeat today in the second game of the doubleheader, and we just didn't see the same sort of spirit in the aftermath of a tough loss like we did in Davis about 6 days ago. In Davis, we saw them get punched in the mouth by the San Ramon Grizzlies, react to it with absolute fury, sledge the heck out of their opponent for 20 solid overs in the field, hold them to a decent total, and then go out and get it. Today, really not the same attitude from the Lashings, and as a result, despite a solid power play in the chase that gave us images of a banner finish, it does not come to pass that way. Instead, a 96-run win for the Blazers.
As we take a look at the scorecard, Zahid Zakil dominating the early exchanges, 29 of 13 with some sparkling sixes of pace and spin. For a few overs, Lashings were in the running for this ominous chase. Ishak 6 of 4, Akeem gone for a first bowler after a half century in the previous game. Harpreet Singh 12 of 9, the skipper. The problem for Lashings was after the early blaze of boundaries, they tended to lose wickets in clusters right through the late power play and the middle over stage. Nobody got to double figures after Achilles Brown, a string of 8, 0, 5 and 3 between 7 and 11. Eventually Lashings subsiding to 89 all out inside the 17th over.
And indeed losing their last 7 wickets for 29 runs in 60 balls. Just a brutal phase following the power play, and again, most notably following the run-out of Harpreet Singh. Taking a look at the bowling card here for the East Bay Blazers, and that will be happier reading for cricket fans. Arnav Iyer with the 2 early wickets, taking out Dodson and Ishak inside the power play. He goes for 2 for 21 off of his 3. Sanjay Krishnamurti absolutely boshed around in his first over of work for a total of 18 runs. He wouldn't concede another run off the bat for the entire rest of the match. He would bowl 2 maiden overs, just leg bys off of his third over of work, and would, of course, take the wicket of Akmal Hajizada. Rushil Ugarkar, 2 more to his name as well, as he removes Zahid Zakil, who, as was mentioned earlier, was the most dangerous man with a stick over the course of today's match. Faisal Khan Ahmadzai, 1 for 21 as he continues to strike. Vikash Mohan, incredibly economical, takes 2 for 6, including a wicket maiden, responsible for dismissing Aryan Chowdhury and Elmore Hutchinson. And of course, Sujit Gowda, you've got to recognize for that direct hit run out that started the dominoes falling here today in Morgan Hill. Abhishek Paradkar. How could I possibly forget Abhi? My mistake. It's just too much good stuff. 1 for 8 for Abhishek Paradkar, who, of course, continues to try to keep pace with the top wicket takers in the league, albeit with Shadley van Skalkvik doing no favors by taking 2 himself today. So good luck catching that rabbit.
Taking a look at the match summary, again, the Blazers winning the toss and batting first. Saideep Ganesh with 51 from 31 and Sanjay Krishnamurthy 46 from 24. And Gowda as well with 44 from 36. So even contributions across the top order from Blazers to help them to an imposing 185 for 6. Hajizada with a couple of wickets, Fernando with a couple of wickets, and Zakil with a 1 for the main wicket takers for the Lashings. In response, the Lashings again, Zakil 29 from 13, the lone bright spot. Otherwise, lots of wickets at regular intervals. Eventually, the margin of victory for the Blazers, 96 runs. That is a towering victory, which will give them a pretty handy net run rate boost. That is the end of today's contest.
And I think if you just look at that, between the 3 scorers all over 40 and the 3 wicket takers with 2 apiece, really just too much Blazers for this Lashings team the last 2 days. There's just a lot of talent. If 1 or 2 of them don't fire, you've got the others there. I've talked to Biju Nair about this in the past, and his whole philosophy for building a roster is you're trying to control you don't want to have single points of failure. You don't want something that if that goes wrong, your whole team's sunk. And this team absolutely built for the long haul, built to try to make a return trip to Dallas. And of course, tomorrow they will look to get that much closer to it when they take on their local rivals, the Silicon Valley Strikers. That is going to be all for us here from Morgan Hill today. We'll be back tomorrow with a single game, 2:30. That's Strikers versus Blazers matchup. Until then, for Bala at the controls, for Anat on the camera work, and for my partner Hari Venkatamani here on the mic, my name's Joe Hickey, and we hope you'll join us again here on the MLC Network real soon. So long.